Testing. 1, 2. Can you hear me? Can anyone out there let me know if you are able to hear my voice? I know my voice is annoying, but just let me know, because I'd like to know if everything's working so we can actually start the show and actually have it work this time. Yes, excellent. Thank you, Kagawana. You have confirmed it. All right, we are in business, folks. Let's start this bastard. All right.
Victimizers beware. The racist and bigots' greatest nightmare. Social justice warriors. Get triggered.
It's the bias response team.
If you've been offended, your feelings must be defended. The freedom of expression is a microaggression. Here comes Angela Freddy. He's always ready to fight fascism with fascism.
Starbucks windows don't stand a chance.
Ethic enhancer. He's a systematic racism finder. Using the powers of screaming and shame, they win every debate by calling your name. They're heroes who think that they're victims. Social justice warriors. Get triggered.
Morality, and now we're facing me as mortality. They lost the plot, we'll take a stand. These corporations must perish, will reclaim our land. Enough is enough, we've drawn the line. We'll take back our stories, a spark divine. The will of the fans, a storm on the rise. We won't be silenced by the hollow lies. We claim the legacy, break the chains. These companies must die for our world to remain. They can't take a passion. We're holding the gates for every fan stands protecting the will to create. We are the true keepers, the defenders of law, and we won't stop until we settle the score.
Woo! Hello. All right, we actually can be heard today, and that is a fantastic thing to be able to say. It should be something I should be able to say pretty much every time I use StreamYard, but apparently not. So it's just really good to know that you guys can hear us this time. Fuck yesterday, and fuck StreamYard as well, for that matter. What kind of service? Do you know what pissed me off more than anything? And I will get to the intro, I swear. Technology that doesn't do its one job. Oh boy, ask my family. They will tell you nothing makes Will mad like tech not working. Oh, fuck. You don't want to be anywhere near me around about then. I'm talking full-blown toxic rage. It's not good. Anyway, hello and welcome to Will of the Fans. My name is Will. See what I did there? Hope you're having a lovely, lovely day. Today, like we were supposed to yesterday, we're going to be discussing Goonergate, and then hopefully that will be the last time anybody ever has to say that word. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Although I think it's going to go on a little bit longer. It's bullshit. There's a lot of pointless, stupid division among us. I know there are valid reasons for it, and we'll get into all of that rubbish. But of course, we also have a hell of a lot of rush news to get through as well, so we'll be trying to get through as much of that. I'm not announcing it beforehand in case I have to ditch a couple, depending on how long it takes us to get through it. So we will proceed in that particular vein, and I hope you will enjoy the show. Before we start, I'm joined, as always, by my regular cohorts, Ryan Rogerathe, Problematic White Guy John, And joining us again this time, Mr. Infinite Retro. Ryan, you first. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well, Will, and thank God for EvMu, ladies and gentlemen, where I debuted the one and most likely only episode of reality-based System Crash. If you recognize some of the artwork, well, that came from a younger version of Will. A double entendre. Will used to have a channel called System Crash, plus his systems crashed on StreamYard. So I thought, what better time to debut the concept? But it is great to be here, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully we'll have a good talk about topics of the day. I was trying to find all sorts of nice pictures for that stream because it was supposed to be for Revival and for tabletop gaming. John was there, Retro was there, and I gotta say, we had a great time, but folks, you're all here for this guy. You're not here for us.
I'm here for you guys. You guys give me a chance to stop talking, which is great. John, how you doing, man? Hello? Is he there?
Oh, awesome as always. Just been busy. Yeah. Am I botting? Am I there? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool.
How's the new fiber optic, John?
Well, I have a theory about this. I stream with 3 guys that are all over the entire globe, and so I think that there's some still latency issues that are always going to be there. So it is what it is. But I really
doesn't happen on
I'm just
SNH.
busy doing, I'm sure that Hypno probably has far better equipment than I do anytime coming soon. So. I've just been busy doing more production work and, trying to pick up streams where possible and all that wonderful fun stuff. So, yeah, things are good.
Cool. And Infinite Retro, how you doing, mate?
Good, man. I'm just curious why John knows anything about Hypno's equipment. John, would you like to?
Dear.
We're bringing the 60 back
he's
from yesterday.
put videos of it. He has put videos of it on various socials though. So.
Oh, I see. Yes, I see. So yeah, no, good, man.
Ask him.
Yeah,
I'm good.
You've already been clipped, mate. So it's it's too late for you, I'm afraid.
That's what it is.
I have my Milo. I'm good. So.
Oh, cool. You have that in Australia as well. Got that in the Philippines.
I eat this shit I eat it. It's like that percent milk, that percent Milo.
It's one of the only things you can give a pregnant woman as a hot drink that doesn't fuck them up. You can't give them.
Oh, really?
Caffeine. You can't give them herbal teas. Some of them are bad for pregnancy. It's so fucking annoying.
Yeah.
So there you go. And not without wishing to pre-announce anything, I will announce later. But there we go. Anyway, so welcome back, of course, everybody in the chat. I can see everybody's here. Mephisto X is here. artooleetoo is here. Caguana, of course, who helped me to find out that I am actually audible this time. Kaz is here. Rio's here. Wow, everyone's here. Sonic Spamfish is here. And, of course, the mods are here as well. TJ Steve saying hello with an A for some reason. Interesting. And Eris Rhoda. And welcome to everybody. Of course, it's going to be fun. We have a lot of crap to talk about, so we're going to get on with it. Of course, if you want to join in, you can super chat us. You can join the Grift Force. You can get those emojis and throw some spears our way anytime you bloody want to. And we'll appreciate you all the more for it, with it being Christmas and all. But, of course, we're here to talk about topics, not ourselves. So let's get on with Rush News. Alrighty then. Well, we've had quite an interesting week. A lot of the companies that we've been railing against over the last year are beginning to buckle and fold. And that's kind of just the through line of everything. It's the way that Gamergate has come together and just annihilated these companies is really quite something. We should all be very proud to have been part of something like this, because you just look at this first story, and it's pretty incredible, really. I mean, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League came out in January, was released broken, had a completed save file in the package, so you didn't even have to play the game. to discover the ending, killing Batman, gunshot to the face, Harley Quinn giving him a feminist lecture about emotional damage to supervillains, then just snuffs him out, voiced by Kevin Conroy. This is the perfect storm of awful, by the way. It was so bad, in fact, that it spurred Cabrutus on to start Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, when we discovered, of course, that this is the same company behind all these failures. And no sooner than that, really, Chris Kindred decided to attack Cabrutus, and that began Gamergate 2. So it's kind of nice that we're seeing this headline before the end of the year. Warner Brothers finally kills off Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League after taking out over $200 million in impairment charges. That is a shocker. That's awful. That's the kind of money that Ubisoft has been losing. So what do you guys think so far? I mean, have you talked about this or heard about this? What's going on?
Well, me, John and Retro talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I'm sure we'll get into far greater detail here. But what an aptly named video game project,
I know, right?
Suicide Squad, and it did its job. I mean, bookending the years, so to speak. But that much?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty astonishing. They clearly had plans for this to go on generating revenue for 2 or 3 years. And that has not happened. No one wants to play it. It did worse than Dragon Age. It did as badly as I can't even think now. We've been through SteamDB so many times. We're talking like 12,000 people playing.
Concord. But not,
that's like, I'm pretty sure that's only about 50% more than Concord. So yeah. But they clung to it anyway. Warner Brothers Discovery and Rocksteady Studios announced it will finally kill off its beleaguered Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game in January 25. In a blog post providing details about the game's 4th season. Now, this is interesting because the last I heard was the next was like season 2 or something. It was like Mrs. Freeze, the Ice Queen Rug Muncher, basically every feminist. Announced with Deathstroke joining the roster. Deathstroke is pictured here. Apparently the only character that they haven't fucked with too much, although he doesn't look very
Power Ranger looking shit.
He looks like a Mortal Kombat character.
He actually, he looks like he belongs in Fortnite. Like this is the Fortnite version of Deathstroke. With the blue and everything as well, and they've all got this LexCorp kryptonite shit going on as well. It's, I guess, to justify their ability to actually kill the Justice League. But whatever. It says the Suicide Squad's crusade against Brainiac is drawing to an end. Season 4 will finish up with episode 8. They have episodes? I didn't play this shit.
And they mean by their season bullshit.
Yeah, but I know they do seasons, but they do episodes. I mean, how granular do you want to make
that's
it?
Just like I think that's just their stupid way of saying, like, you know, collectively, like they have like a season update and then they have like a content pack to the season update. I think because like there's 4 seasons.
Oh, like a mission pack or something.
Thing. Yeah.
Right.
I couldn't be 100% certain because I avoided this thing, you know, obviously, but
everybody avoided this thing.
Right.
So, I mean, that's kind of the problem, isn't it? But so there is definitely a joke in here somewhere about killing off the Suicide Squad, kill the Justice League. I made a joke before of Suicide Squad, kill your reputation, but that was like a year ago almost. So, I don't know. What's that, John?
I said there's also something apt about Deathstroke being the final update.
I was just thinking that. It's literally the Deathstroke.
There sure are a lot of fatality-related words being used.
My God, Warner Brothers, if you were this poetic in your projects, then they would actually succeed.
It's all an accident, of course. They don't have the intelligence. They don't have 2 brain cells to rub together to make fun puns and things like that. It says, while season 4 episode 8 will mark the final battle against Brainiac, so the final battle against Brainiac wasn't the climax of the game. No, apparently they just killed the Justice League. All online features will continue to be available, so you'll still be able to enjoy co-op with friends, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, right. As if anyone has a friend who also owns this game.
Right? I think as soon as you buy it and, like, you know, show it to a friend, they're no longer going to be one.
They just stop you being your friend. Yeah, they tell you to get the fuck off. They unfriend you immediately. What the hell? You bought that game? You'll have the option to play the game via the new offline mode. So this is interesting, the offline mode, because what they're calling new offline mode has two particular angles to it. One, it should have existed from the minute the game was released. Games used to just be offline, and that was fine. And yeah, TJAP Steve, I know you. I saw a notification about that clip. Thank you. You're in Discord already, buddy. And the other thing is the simple fact that the only reason they are adding an offline mode is so that they don't have to support the game anymore, so that they can clear the service.
Yeah, it was either this or kill it entirely, like Anthem. But Anthem didn't really have a way to, you know, because it was so live service built. This, like, they're lucky that this is their saving grace, and saying that they can still support it, still maybe sell a few more copies at a highly reduced rate. But ultimately, yeah, like Jay Viper owes me a drink, because I called this a few months back when we first talked about it, and I said that this thing wasn't going to last past tax season, because there's just no reason to, you know, justify the server cost alone.
Well, John, you ain't getting an award from the J Awards next year. My goodness, you're supposed to suck up to these award show people.
Oh, that's right. You got an award, didn't you, Ryan? I forgot about that. Yeah.
I wonder, there's another angle here, right? Because when Ubisoft canceled the Crew, right, which is essentially like a persistent, like, online service for that
driving thing,
open world drive, right? Yeah. Amazing game too. They killed it, and now there's like court proceedings in regards to that, because you buy this thing, and then after however many years they just shut it down without the option of giving you an offline mode.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm wondering if now these other companies saw that and like, oh yeah, we better do that. I've been advocating for having like offline modes even in like multiplayer only games. Just add in fucking bots. It's not hard. Like, you know, even if you've got to kill the online, at least people can still load it up, play, maybe even just peer-to-peer. Just basic shit, like, you know, that people could do for free on the internet. You know, like,
it's like gaming has gone backwards. I mean, in the past, it was offline games, single player campaign with an online mode that expands the universe.
Right.
And just local multiplayer.
Yeah, well, if you want to go that far back, Will, but now it's the complete opposite. Now
I really do want to go back.
Right.
Now it's all online, and when the project finally comes to an end, the first instinct is to just completely kill it, do an Anthem, pull an Anthem on the project, but that is facing legal battles. So now games corporations are being pressured now to do the exact opposite of what they did in the past.
Right.
Yeah, as a bare minimum.
I think they're so focused on the idea that you'll own nothing and be happy that they want to put people into these centralized kind of control states. So that's the whole reason why they do the live service through their servers rather than just offloading in a peer-to-peer kind of thing. Yeah. Because then they'd actually be giving us more autonomy.
Exactly. This is the Ubisoft thing, right? So when they started the year, they've had a perfect bookend as well, when you think about it. And we'll get to them in a little while. But when they started the year saying basically, you know, get used to not owning video games, people were questioning what that meant. Of course, what it meant was you are effectively renting this experience for as long as we care to provide it.
Yep.
And yeah, where have they ended up? Now they're completely, like, literally failing to even achieve a buyout because of their own damn hubris.
There are red lines, there are first principles, and with games and gaming, when you buy a product, and this is not just for gaming, this is for all things that you buy. Once you buy something, you own it completely and utterly until you sell it on, and that's why legal proceedings were taken against Ubisoft in regards to the Crew, because people bought into it. They also bought into Crew 2 and Crew Motorfest, because it is a franchise. And for Ubisoft to just completely destroy, not just ditch the project, but to completely destroy it, meant
Yeah.
that you didn't really own that game. You bought a permanent rental, and that's criminal, folks.
Yep.
It's like
And
buying a car, and then in a decade after the company stops supporting it, your car suddenly fucking disintegrates.
I mean, that is actually something that people are worried about happening. I mean, it's like the iPhone thing. One of the major reasons why people are running away from Apple now is because of planned obsolescence. They literally, they've even been caught now, where if you have a certain model of iPhone and then you download the latest version, the version for that particular, like say 2-year-old model, will actually have files in it that make the phone work worse.
Yep, slows down your performance. Like cuts down the clock times. Everything. It's
Everything.
Scandalous.
Yeah, and but the people can do nothing about it because it's in the TOS that they basically have the right to do anything they want at any time, which is it's a scam. It's actually a scam. It really should result in like a class action lawsuit or something. But of course, they've already covered themselves. You click yes, I accept. You are in, and yes, eats the phone battery as well. Absolutely right. Chat. But there you go. So Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will be available to play offline if you are dumb enough to buy it. Don't expect any more updates to it though after Deathstroke and the apparent final battle with Brainiac. So if you are one of the, I don't even know how many people still playing this game. I think I might just take a quick look actually. If you are one of the, where is it? Let's see how many people are playing it. 1,059 people who are playing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Then you'll finally get to take down Brainiac. And that's it. And
This should have just been released as a cheap console exclusive.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it just goes to show as well, because if you look at Marvel Rivals, which has just come out and is a free-to-play game, it's effectively doing what Concord wanted to do.
Yep.
But instead of having hideously ugly characters or like this, having a complete disrespect for the characters, it comes out, you've got masculine men, feminine women, and fun action, and the game has got like 10 million players.
Yep.
Well-made game, very technically demanding, as people have recently found out. But for a free-to-play game, it is very, very good.
Right.
Yeah,
It also
I'm not
reinforces.
really for... Go on.
Yeah, I said it also reinforces what we've been saying this whole time, is that it's not even inherently the live service model that is the overall problem. It's their, all their ideology and all this kind of stupid shit that they, pack it in with, and then like the live service thing just like that is not optimal. I think all of us agree on that, but you can at least kind of, if you actually give a quality product through that service mode, you can at least actually have a profitable revenue stream.
Yeah. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, if we were to lose all the woke shit, pandering and preaching, which we'll get to much later, that goes on in gaming, whether you're preaching one agenda or the other, we'd still have a principal concern of value for money. And that's really been a problem in gaming for 20 years.
Oh yeah, value for gaming, optimization. I mean, storage capacity is really fucking bugs me, because why are games so big and they take installation as well? Why we never used to install
500 gigabytes for a game, 50 gigabyte day one patch. Fucking nonsense.
That's insane. And hopefully when wokeness is eradicated from our popular culture and from our gaming, these are the problems we can highlight and pressure companies to make more, not just better games, but more efficient games and more optimized games, so that we don't need supercomputers to run current generation and future generation console. Not console games.
I mean, I'm running two monitors, and I've got a 3070 and like 32 gigs of RAM. I can run basically anything, but that'll become obsolete one day. Some game will come out that makes my system go fuck, and then I'll have to upgrade. And at the end of the day, a lot of them don't actually need to. That a lot of them can be, you can make a game that people enjoy without having to blow hundreds of millions of dollars on it and making it prohibitive to a significant portion of the player base. I know that's why people buy consoles, but even the consoles are terrible these days. There's no point to them either. I mean, why would you want to go with Sony or Hexpox? So you just don't want them.
Steam Deck.
When Crisis came out on PC, I still remember trying out. I think it was like a demo or something like that, and basically your computer just fucking melted, right?
Yeah.
But it was unique because basically it was like this I don't know. It was almost like a tech demo that now when you buy the remastered versions, one of the graphical settings is titled "Can it run Crisis?" And for a while there, it felt like they learnt. They realized that you've got to have a lot of scalability because there are so many different PC type setups out there, and then something just fell off the wagon, and they just went, no, we've got to make it. You can't make games, especially on PC, for the tippy top. You just can't. You can make it great for the tippy top, but you've also got to scale it down to just potato PCs as well, to a degree. Like we're not talking like 20-year-old PCs, but at least 6 to 8. Where
this
is
why console
marginal.
Well, this is why console generations, like the concept, was such a great idea. 8 to 10 year cycles, generation after generation, improving the concept. But I think this generation, as well as the last generation, from a console perspective, have been quantifiable failures. Now we are in the 10th generation of console gaming. Console gaming is in a crisis, and that's going to spread into PC gaming as mobile gaming becomes the main thing. I mean, I think three of the 5 or 6, it was either 5 or 6, games that were nominated for Game of the Year were on mobile platforms. I know Balatro certainly was, and for even the consideration of a mobile game as Game of the Year is fucking disgraceful.
Yeah.
Well, I know some of that exponential bloat is because of all the high resolution texture for the graphics and everything like that. So it kind of makes sense that because not everybody has 4K monitors or anything like that. So if I were doing development, I would quite honestly just give people a level of install based on how deep you want your level of detail to be. Because if you're just running a 1080 HD monitor, which is good enough for most people, you really don't need all those 4K textures or anything like that. It's just extra.
Yeah, I think that's why they'll obviously be pushing cloud-based assets and things like that, so that they can get away with it that way. But the problem with that, of course, is it comes back to the old value for money thing, where it's like, okay, what exactly am I buying with this $70?
Right?
Do I own it? Do I not own it? Do it if you change it, can I object to that or avoid it in some way? Like if I like it the way it is, it's a scam. It's becoming a scam. It's becoming something where the goalposts can be moved, the rug can be pulled right out from underneath you, just like Hawk Tourcoin. And you can end up standing, twiddling your thumbs, going, "What happened to the game I was enjoying?" And that's why you need to watch out for this shit. It's why Ubisoft pissed everybody off before they even released the game this year, and it's why this game has suffered as well. That and of course the one.
Can I just add something quickly, if that's okay, Will? Marvel Rivals is hope for gaming, right? Because I was saying this yesterday to the dudes. I have not cared about anything Marvel after Endgame, right? Just didn't give a shit at all. Just fuck off, right? I thought Marvel Rivals was just gonna be another hero shooter, Overwatch clone. I loaded it up and instant chubby, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, all you have to do is you have
quite
to
the endorsement, mate.
Yeah, it is. Well, it might be only 2 inches, but it's still thick, right? That's all that matters. Anyway, so moving on.
Man with the tuna can.
Yeah, it's all about girth, baby. Don't ever believe
11 inches around.
Right. Yeah, right. She's not walking with a limp for a reason. Anyway,
There it is.
so
The face.
so anyway, if you give the IP and let another company like NetEase do it with no woke shit, right? A complete, not just the, like they
make a
have
game.
completely respected the characters. Like they have all these cool little intros, all the outfits for them are just amazing. They have, like, with the synergy with certain character matchup, like it's apparently comic book accurate, right? So certain characters will actually have additional moves added to their list because of the synergy of them from the comics. It's Marvel Rivals is proof. You can give this IP to somebody else and they will make it great again. 100%. That's exactly what Marvel Rivals is, and it's amazing.
The age of outsourcing. Yeah, it's the age of outsourcing established intellectual properties. It's fine, folks. If you've been there and done it for decades as a legacy brand, and you don't know what to fucking do anymore, outsource it to someone who can split the revenue, negotiate a deal, and coast off of another person's success. Hell, even I do that, folks. Thank you.
Indeed.
Very
but you know, actually, Ryan, to your point, they kind of do that already. But part of the problem is that they steep the person who's in that lease agreement to all these different kinds of terms, so they're handcuffed and shackled to where they can't actually make a game that's quality. And so all that the large corporations doing is offsetting risk, which is, you know, what you see with like you know, stuff like Ubisoft and Star Wars Outlaws. You know, like Disney didn't take the risk on that. Ubisoft did, you know, and so like that's kind of their whole ploy is if I can get someone else to do all this work for me and then, you know, put in a whole bunch of terms and conditions that basically tie them up so that they can't even actually do anything that's creative and expressive, you know, then even if it fails, I'm not the one who fails. It's this smaller company that has to take
someone else
loss.
to pay for it. Yeah, it's seedy shit, and that's it. But there you go. As we can see, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is dead. It's not even interesting enough now at the end for us to continue talking about it without going off on massive industry-wide tangents. So there you go. Bye-bye to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Hello to the roast of Dragon Age via
Rest
Kingdom
in
Come
piss. Suicide Squad.
Yep, rust in piss. There you go. Before we talk about this, though, Eris Rhoda used the member chat for 9 months of membership. And wow, that has to be literally as long as I've been doing memberships, because I can't remember like exactly when I started, but it definitely ain't any longer than that. To say 9.94K, that would be my subscriber count at the moment. Like, share, and all that, nearly there. Yes, indeed. Like the stream. Please don't make me go full hypnotic and have to just start shouting it every 2-3 minutes. Like the damn stream. It helps other people to find it, which means more people for you to talk to. And that, of course, is what it's all about. Thank you, Eris Rhoda, for the promotion. And following on from that, TJAP Steve has gifted you lucky people 10 World of Fans memberships. And I saw that a little while ago. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you. All you people who just got memberships, get in the chat and throw some spears.
Shuck them if you got them.
Indeed. Alrighty then. Thank you very much for that, guys. Join the Grift Force. Get what's coming to you. Kingdom Come Deliverance comes under fire, or the writer rather comes under fire for unprofessional post about Dragon Age of Veilguard. Do you know about this?
We did talk a little bit about this, although he was also the co-founder for the studio that made Kingdom Come Deliverance. And
okay. Tell me about it, because I actually don't know anything about this yet. I'm just going blind.
The comments come, ladies and gentlemen, largely as a result of the fact that the two projects are being compared. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is being released soon in, I think it's early to mid-February of 2025, a week before Avowed, which put the franchise and the company into being the topic of the day. initially. And comparisons are being made, as you can see right here, between the top numbers, which is Kingdom Come Deliverance, the first game, and below that, Dragon Age Veilguard. Now, the peak for Kingdom Come Deliverance was nearly 7 years ago. And folks need to remember that the game, the project, started off as a Kickstarter campaign, which went absolutely insane. So it's a real success for a creator-based project many years ago, which has now snowballed into a
Nearly
franchise.
7, isn't it?
Yep,
Yeah.
nearly 7 years, and it stood the test of time, while Dragon Age, in that time, has gone from everywhere. I mean, it was BioWare's most financially successful game, to absolutely nowhere, to the point where a creator-based project, a Kickstarter campaign come to life, is not just tangoing with them, but beating them.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Kingdom Come Deliverance is an interesting one because it does all the RPG tropes, but adds a level of brutal reality to it, where like you are just a pathetic nobody, and you have to really try hard, and people really responded to that.
Right.
So you're talking about kind of like a almost hyper realism in a fantasy setting, compared to completely losing all grip on actual reality in the case of Dragon Age Veilguard.
Right. Well, see, like that was where some of the White Knights came in, and they were like trying to say, like, oh, you're comparing apples to oranges here, and like they aren't even the same kind of game. But that misses the point that, you know, you're talking about a large corporate structure can't even, you know, compete with something that was done out of a labor of love and actually, you know, was built around the concept of actual historical, you know, realism. Whereas with Dragon Age, they may not, even though it's a fantasy setting, they still have to maintain some verisimilitude to their own lore, to their own actual state of immersion. And because they went and decided that they were going to introduce zipper tits and all this other, you know, silly fuckery that is completely devoid of the realm that,
Zipper
like, you know,
tits? I've never heard that before.
Hey, Slitheen have zips in their foreheads. Trannies have zips under their tits.
Right.
Yeah.
But point is that, you know, it's like, if you don't even respect your own, you know, lore enough to actually hold to that standard, then why, you know, would anybody actually want to get invested in something that isn't even invested in itself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people want to get on this dude for saying this. Obviously, the post saying that it's like nearly 7 years ago, Kingdom Come Deliverance achieved over 96,000, whereas Dragon Age Veilguard, the much bigger brand from the much bigger company, the more established RPG company, could not hit that at any point. And, you know, they want to say it's unprofessional, but you know what is really unprofessional? Shoving a whole bunch of fucking maniacs into your company to make a game that is intentionally trying to blur the lines between what is humanity and what is transhuman to children. That I'd call infinitely more unprofessional. Or what about the way that fucking douchebag woman who pretends to be a man? What was her fucking name? Eddie. What's it? No, Corin Bush is the man became
Eddie,
a woman.
yeah.
Talking about Eddie, whatever the hell the fucking name was, acting like a complete asshole to Ara Nure because of difference of opinion, when being tied to the company as well. That's fucking unprofessional as well. The nepotism that went into it, the hiring practices, the discrimination, the whole fucking game industry is in a laughing stock of itself right now as professionalism goes. Almost everything professionalism wise has been compromised by this insidious agenda. So now you want to turn around and have a guy from a rival company that comes along and goes, your game didn't do as well as ours, and ours was from fucking Kickstarter.
Right.
You're going to call that unprofessional? I call that a roast, and a well-deserved one.
Right.
And it just goes, John, it just goes to show how much the landscape has changed. And I wanted to share my screen to actually bring this up, because Kingdom Come Deliverance is a great example of a creator-based campaign that's gone from nowhere to everywhere. Nearly 36,000, 35,000 backers with £1.1 million, just over that, raised to create a project that has done so incredibly well and got nearly 100,000 players playing it at its peak just on Steam. Never mind console sales.
Yeah.
That high indie, very efficient, very technically advanced 7 years ago. This game should be a great example of emulation, and we have seen various examples, whether it's one-man bands or small independent teams. And for a studio like Warhorse Studios to be doing better than BioWare, once the #1 role-playing game studio that didn't have any kind of rival that could tango with it. Of course, there were other examples of RPGs. I mean, Bethesda is a great example, but that was along a different path. But likewise with BioWare, you see with Bethesda, you see with other RPG makers, most recently with Obsidian, they're all floundering. They're all going down. They're all in the decline. That's why I think it's going to be very interesting to see Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 tango with Avowed, especially on Steam.
Well,
especially because Avowed is looking like amateur hour shit at the moment compared to what we're used to. It looks like Oblivion with some better textures. It's really not impressing at all. And the physics are fucked too. I saw people falling through the ground on a clip of it, all kinds of awful shit when they were displaying the gameplay. It looked like they had decided to take so much homage from Bethesda, ironically being Obsidian, and what they took was all the bad stuff, all the bugs, all the glitches, all the fucked up shit, and it's just not a good idea at all to behave that way.
Right. There's also a very apt expression here that applies specifically to this: is don't hate the player, hate the game. And in the and especially as it applies to Veilguard, like especially hate that game, because this is, as you were saying, this is just smack talk. This stuff happens like on the gridiron, like when people down on the field. You don't think people are like giving each other shit on both sides of the line?
You know how we fix all the wokies? 2 ways, right? The first is the meme where they take an 80s bully and they transport him to the modern era and just put him in a school, sort shit right out. The second thing is we lock all these fuckers into a COD lobby for a week.
Yeah, I actually said once,
it'll fix them. It'll fix them.
Just
straight up.
Just put them in a battle royale scenario.
Yeah.
Just like get like host like a Taylor Swift concert or something, and then she just doesn't show up, and instead you just bar all the doors and drop a case of like ammunition and guns and things in there. And,
Let it sort
it's strange. It's strange.
Live can come out.
Well, it's strange how Battle Royale failed and the Hunger Games succeeded, and then Fortnite ultimately succeeded. The thing that started off the concept, Battle Royale, the inspiration behind it was a failure, but it's...
I mean, the novel did well.
Well, the manga
did well. If you've not read the manga is so much more horrifying than the movies.
That proves then it's the execution within mediums that was the failure. And I think that is also, after the woke element with Dragon Age, the execution between mediums has been a big failure for this franchise and a big failure for BioWare as a whole, because it was one of the few RPG franchises that could, or series of franchises rather, that could take one medium, say gaming, and translate that into another medium like books or comics or films, because there were a few animated films. They got worse as time went on, but they did hold their own, especially in the late 2000s and early 2010s.
This is the guy that made the game, right? This is the guy that made the game, right?
He's
he's a writer.
Okay. All right. You say what you're going to say, Will. I'll say something after.
Yeah. And director. Sorry, he's the director too.
All
I was going to say about Battle Royale, just as we were on an aside, was it came out in 2000 or something along those lines, and even though it's an excellent film, people weren't quite as open to the idea of world cinema back then. So there's that. 10 years later, if it came out 10 years later, it would have done much better. That's all I was going to say about that.
I mean, the concept, though, the concept of Battle Royale didn't really resonate with people back then. Now it's almost everywhere, and Fortnite is a great example.
Oh yeah, Fortnite made it perfect, made it a video
Mm.
game. Yes, it's fantastic. If they made a battle royale video game, literally like just Fortnite but ultra violent, and where you play as, it wouldn't be allowed out in this country or any other country for that matter, because you're playing as school children,
Right.
15-year-olds, you know.
So Fortnite's interesting, actually. I'll say two things quick. The Fortnite's interesting, actually, because Fortnite was not a battle royale when it launched.
No, it wasn't. No.
It was like a what do you call it? Like a horde shooter. You know, you build up your defenses, wait till nighttime comes in, and then you got to defend everything, right? So PUBG was kind of like, I think PUBG was like the first, maybe
PUBG
real
came
one.
out first, right? I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I was trying to remember when, because H1Z1 I think was kind of, I can't remember if they remodified it after PUBG's success. I can't remember. And then they're like, oh, we'll just take our concept, like all their graphics, but we'll make it a battle royale. But going back to this guy, there was a few years ago when he was making this game that there was controversy because apparently he was not having a lot of women apparently in positions of notoriety, or no black people in the game, or very little. And they were trying to make out that he was racist for Kingdom Come Deliverance.
I mean, why would there be black people in a medieval fantasy setting?
Yeah, in Bohemia,
right.
Obviously inspired by
I know.
Yes, exactly.
I know.
Europe.
You know.
But it's the Netflixing of everything, like Cleopatra was black, suppose.
Yeah, well, this gay race communism.
Let's get
needs to
sued by the
die
country
with
of
Soviet
Egypt.
Union.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the race thing is we're getting to the point now where the whole concept of the race grift is getting utterly destroyed on almost a daily basis by normies now. So it won't last much longer. The normies are awake. And they're fucking sick of being told everything's racist.
Once you get them, it's over.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it is over because the normies have spoken. They voted for Trump and they're sick of hearing the words racist, sexist, transphobic, homophobic. We're fucking tired of it. And it's not just us, it's everybody.
Right.
So
And
there's that.
here in this country, honestly, too, like MAGA is actually seen more as just, actually just mainstream American, just normie culture.
Oh, it's
not
cool
some
now.
kind of extremist, right-wing thing or anything like that.
It's trendy now. MAGA's trendy. I saw a guy, I was in the hospital the other day and I was walking down the corridor on my way to the toilet. And I saw a guy sitting outside the doctor's office, American guy with a MAGA hat, like in the Philippines. It's like, yeah, just normal now. Never used to see that.
Was he telling people, my people used to rule this land?
No, he was just minding his own business.
Yeah.
Funny, isn't it? Anyway, there you go. So this guy roasted the absolute fuck out of Dragon Age Veilguard, and a bunch of SJWs got salty about it and told him to grow up and blah, 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 punching down all the talking points are there. How can you be punching down from fucking Kingdom Come Deliverance to Dragon Age?
They really
That's a sure you can. That's not punching down. That is a sure you can.
Yes, I'm punching down the multi-billion-dollar agent of Satan, devil of gaming corporation.
Madness.
But it just goes to show how
EA.
Yeah, but it just goes to show how they're just so caught up in their stupid fucking buzzwords that are utterly meaningless, and they don't even know what the fuck they're saying half the time.
Yeah. Well, this is the gamer, of course, and that's one of the wokest sites around. So there's that.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's madness. It's never going to come to anything. Of course, he's well within his rights to criticize the fuck out of them. Their game is a failure. Kingdom Come Deliverance is not. And again, also, yes, I'm looking forward to seeing Kingdom Come 2 roast the fuck out of Avowed, because Avowed looks like pish as well. And as for the Battle Royale thing, well, guys, somebody make it. Somebody make the video game version of Battle Royale. We'll see if anyone will actually...
PewDiePie and the 9-year-old army.
Yeah, 9-year-old.
Want to see where it all started, kids? Well, here's a project literally called Battle Royale.
I can't
if you've never seen this movie, you owe it to yourself to watch it at least once.
Right. I can't remember if they ever finished development on it or not, but at one point in time, they were going to do a game version of Lord of the Flies, which would kind of be around that same kind of mindset, which I think would actually be pretty cool, pretty amazing.
Yep, no doubt. All right, let's move on. We have to talk about Ubisoft and their buyout. So this is what we're talking about. As you know, Ubisoft have had yet another disastrous year. Probably, I don't know. What do you guys think? Who's had a worse year? Sweet Baby Inc. or Ubisoft?
I'm gonna go with Jesus. That is it. We'll go with Ubisoft since they're a bigger entity. You know, Sweet Baby Stink is a symptom. Ubisoft
no one's fighting over Sweet Baby Inc. I can tell you that.
No,
and if it weren't for Ubisoft, Sweet Baby wouldn't be in existence. To be quite honest, so
that's true. Yeah, Ubisoft has gone from top of the fucking ladder to damn near the bottom, damn near liquidation
in a quagmire and going under. You know,
whereas Sweet Baby Inc. is more like, you know, they've been associated with a long list of failures, but none of them have been their necks on the line. So
Ubisoft
they both had
trashy
trouble.
whore. Sweet Baby is their handbag.
What, with a little dog in it?
Something like that. Yeah.
So obviously it came to pass that after telling gamers to get used to not owning games and then releasing, of course, we've talked to death, but Skull and Bones, Star Wars Outlaws, and moving Assassin's Creed Shadows to next year to get away from the backlash to that for a few months and try to do something about it. Now they obviously have faced the reality that they've lost 80% of their stock over the last 5 years. And they're going to have to either accept a hostile takeover or a buyout. And Tencent, which is not my first choice at all for who should buy Ubisoft, are trying to, they were trying to buy them out. But the Guillemot family seem to be a little bit too power hungry to let that happen exactly as it should.
And I think the irony is they're ultimately going to leave themselves out in the cold because they're so, you know, caught up in their hubris of like, no, we need to maintain day-to-day, you know, running of this place. And it's like, well, this is the reason why it's in the state that it's in. So clearly a change of management is what's really in order.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Guillemots, or Guillemots, if you want to pronounce it properly, clearly don't belong here. Yeah, whatever. I don't give a shit what they are. The frogs, they don't belong in the games industry anymore. They clearly are far too out of touch with their customers. That every decision they make is a terrible, avaricious move, attempting to amass as much wealth as possible while not actually providing anything good, and yet still spending hundreds of millions of dollars on it. It's bizarre that Ubisoft is in. Go on.
No, well, I mean, like they really like, not to get too biblical, they really bought into the devil's shit, didn't they? I mean, like they really
100%.
they just sold their fucking gaming souls, all of these companies, right?
Yep.
To you know this, and if you get some big ones like Ubisoft collapse, you know, not just some of these smaller studios, but big, like something big like this, that has got to be the fork in the road for these other gaming companies to go, no, listen, you know, they've been conned. Like they have been fucking just conned. But like a lot of people is that when you know, their pride, you know, some of these companies, their pride will ultimately lead them to be like, no, we'll just go down with the ship. You know, we can't admit that we were wrong. But they don't realize that by doing that, they actually start to get back some good currency. Right. They're like, no, we've made a big fucking mistake. We're so sorry. We're going to make better. Just like the Japanese did with Final Fantasy 14. They put it out 1.0, shit game, just dog shit fucking game, right? Yeah. Right? You know, but the Japanese have good philosophy, right? They went, no, we know we got something good. We apologize. Let's do it better. And they did. Right. And they nailed it. Right.
They brought in Yoshi P. They completely rejuvenated that. They completely rebuilt it, basically.
Just like Trump, it takes one person just to turn the entire attitude around. and get people back on board. Like the whole world's positive. Trump. Like, you know, he's making great picks and all this stuff like that. It's just everyone's really excited for Trump to finally get in office because the attitude before he's even in has changed. That's all they need to do.
Right.
That's all
Well,
they
the
need
funny
to
No,
do.
it's a good analogy. Yeah, it is just attitude. If you continue to do what Ubisoft has done at this point, and DEI is basically a massive con, in as much as it's like a pyramid scheme. The people running it are conning the asset management firms into conning the companies and telling them that the only way that they're going to be able to make it work is by conning their customers. And so that's why it's just one big giant fucking grift, and it has not worked. And Ubisoft have been doing it for so long now that we can actually see the result already. They are in dire straits. Like it says here, the company needs to buy up stock and privatize it if it has any hope of staving off a hostile takeover.
Right.
I
And
mean,
the funny,
go on.
so like, well, the funny thing is like they've certainly given it the old college try with all this ideology, but at the end of the day, they're just left with a pointless arts degree that can be outdone by anybody who actually has passion and, like, you know, actual integrity in the work that they put out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. And they don't have any of that. They don't care. They're not remotely interested in producing quality content when they think it's much easier to crowbar in a load of DEI, take investment money, which doesn't cover it, and then they think, oh well, people will probably still buy it. It's what I keep saying. First of all, authenticity is the currency of the internet. That applies to video games as well. The other thing is they take so long to make these games now, 3-4 years, that by the time they release them, even more than Hollywood, even more than movies, games take ages to make. So when they actually release them, the culture has changed. The culture has moved on. And that is the problem. You need to be able to make and release a movie or a video game in under 2 years if you want, like, to be able to be in touch with the zeitgeist. But it never used to matter, of course, because things like this were escapist fantasy. You didn't have to be in touch with the culture, but now they insist on commenting on the contemporary culture in every possible setting, whether it's space, fucking medieval fantasy, or, you know, ancient Japan or anything like that. It's all got to be a commentary on the here and now.
Right.
And as long as you do that, you're limiting yourself, especially if your commentary is the antithesis of what is actually accepted by human society.
Well, this goes back quite a few years, ladies and gentlemen, in regards to Ubisoft's downfall. We have to remember that Tencent began investing in Ubisoft back in 2018 so that Ubisoft could widen their market with the Chinese audience, the red Chinese, not the blue Chinese. And before that, though, there was an attempt over many years, I think it was 5 years, by Vivendi, a French company, one of the big French companies in entertainment, to try and take over Ubisoft. Now, they got to a point where they controlled a quarter of the company, but the Guillemons wanted to maintain creative freedom. That was their red line. Vivendi wanted to take Ubisoft into a new direction, ironically, away from this, which is what Tencent's influence seems to have done. And over the past 5 years, Ubisoft, the Guillemot family, along with Tencent, have dragged the company into this position.
I think they drag queened the company.
There you go. Just as if to illustrate the point, I saw someone mention it in chat. I just happened to have it bookmarked already. This is what is this? Is this an available costume for Yasuke?
I think it's a potential one.
Yeah, it's one of their thoughts on what they want to have in there.
So you've got fucking hell. It's hard to even describe what you've got.
It's like
here.
a spear with a curved blade on the end of it. And I was like, because Hypno showed me this, I was like, how
Like
interesting.
someone shredded a trans flag, which I'm all for, but then decided I'm going to go ahead and use these rags to fashion myself a little bit of a costume.
It's like if Koei,
the curved spear is called a naginata.
yeah,
Just
it would be like Koei releasing a Dynasty Warriors game and making Guan Yu black trans and giving him that bladed spear.
Yeah, so I mean, you've obviously got major issues here. You've got this George Floyd looking motherfucker Yasuke, and he's got flowers on his hair, and he's. I mean, the most noticeable thing for me, as soon as I saw this, was the sheer amount of pink, and then the fact that the accompanying color is a pastel bluish turquoisey kind of thing, which tells you immediately that this and white, and that just happens to be the colors of what?
A trans flag.
The trans flag, yeah, exactly.
But the funny thing here is Yasuke wants to be a spear chucker too.
Yep, that's another thing that made me laugh. I hadn't quite worked out how to incorporate that into a video just yet, but
just listen. You know when they call us homophobic, right? Now I ain't afraid no gay person.
Nah,
right? I'm not afraid no gay person. However, if this motherfucker ran at me with a spear,
point the other way.
If he, right?
I'm not a transphobe. I'm a transist.
Yeah, if this dude ran at me with his giant spear, you can take that any way you like. Yes, I would be fucking terrified. Right?
There it is. There's another clip.
As long as it's not in a subway and you're not strangling him, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the whole phobia thing, just while we're on it, they use that to mean aversion rather than fear.
Yep.
Because of course no one's afraid of trans people. As you said, John, there, you said you're a transist, you're a tranist, or whatever it was, which is fine. Yeah, I'm a transist too. I'm absolutely against it, as anybody should be, really. But there you go. That's the level of cringe that we are dealing with when it comes to Ubisoft. You take $300 or $400 million, and you create a samurai, and you make that samurai this. Just take, like, just for a second, everyone forget everything you know about Assassin's Creed Shadows. And then I come up to you and I say, hey, look at this picture of the samurai character from the new Assassin's Creed. And it's this.
Right.
Everything is wrong.
Yeah. One of
the only thing that's not wrong is the Naginata.
Right. One of the funny things from the article, though, is like how, like, you know, it just kind of puts in there casually that Tencent is happy to have 10% in, you know, control for everything, and it quite literally is 10% for everything. And I believe that that's how they came up with the name of just 10 cent. They just took out the per. Yeah.
Yep.
I personally think, especially with the perspective of the history of Ubisoft over the past 10 years, how a company tried to take it over and failed. And then Tencent suddenly came along with an investment package, and that correlated with the gradual collapse of Ubisoft. It seems to me it's a great way of divesting away from a Western company, investing it for Ubisoft to become an Eastern company, collapse under the Guillemons for Tencent to take over, and then have Ubisoft with all of its intellectual properties, a lot of powerful properties, for a Chinese studio and really a great hub of Chinese entertainment to lead the way with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tencent are a terrible company that really just steal tech and incorporate it into their mega app, WeChat, which is, you know, gonna take over. I mean, it's like if WhatsApp let you check your bank balance and pay bills and things like that, that's what WeChat is now. It's like the every
all-in-one apps.
Yeah, madness, total consolidation. That is so very, very Chinese in philosophy. But anyway, this is interesting. It says, according to Reuters, Tencent wants more of a say in the boardroom decisions within Ubisoft, including cash flow distribution. Now that is very interesting. Yeah, of course. And that's really kind of a reasonable thing. If they're going to buy it out, you can pretty much imagine however I might feel about Tencent and Tommy China aside. Yeah, if I buy something, a company, I'm going to want to be able to decide what to do with it.
Right. Otherwise, why invest?
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what and Vivendi was in this exact situation back in 2016, 2017, and they had 25% control of Ubisoft. They wanted more of a say in boardroom decisions. They wanted more of a say in regards to investments. And the Guillemot family told them, go fuck yourselves. And over the course of a few years after the fact, Vivendi decided to sell all of their shares, and they had a quarter of the company under their control. And Tencent was happy to buy a bunch of that. Not all of it, but a good 10%. A good chunk of it. Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, the Guillemots have reportedly not accepted the terms. So they want to have their cake and eat it.
Yep.
I think I made a video about this, and I'm pretty sure that's the exact terminology I used, because that is what it is. You are looking for a bailout, a buyout, and yet to be able to still maintain complete control.
Yeah, they just want a sugar
have
daddy.
the people funding it have no say over what you actually make. Yeah. It's absurd.
They want a sugar daddy, but they want them to stay on OnlyFans. You know?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that is kind of another good analogy. Yeah, it's you're living in a fucking crack reality if you think that is something anyone is going to accept.
Well, that's why, Will, I personally believe that when Ubisoft collapses, because if a deal can't be made, there will be a collapse. It will be a toss-up between Tencent and Vivendi for buying out this company, because the main barrier for Vivendi, who were investors in Ubisoft for a good 5 to 6 years. They put a lot into that company, ended up taking it all out eventually. But they've had their eyes set on taking over all of France's entertainment and development companies so that they can be like France's biggest entertainment company. And Ubisoft is, to this day, still a French company. So it is an ambition for them to take that. And I think if these negotiations don't fall through, it will be a toss-up between Tencent and Vivendi. And considering Vivendi are a very big company, even to this day, I'd be unsure which would win the bidding war. Because there's a lot of great franchises in Ubisoft. The value of it is quite significant, especially if there was ever a kind of bidding war.
Right. It would be kind of poetic, though, to see Vivendi come back in and, you know, after stepping away and then just take it over outright and just be like, now you can go fuck yourself. You know,
see, the thing is that not only do the Guillemots want to have their cake and eat it, they are clearly, especially Yves Guillemot, completely unaware of the fact that there is no fucking cake. The cake is a lie.
Yeah.
You know, had to be. But because the cake is already gone. You have no cake. I don't know what you fucking think you're arguing over.
Right.
Because if they don't get a buyout from Tencent, exactly. If they don't get the Tencent buyout, then they are literally going to end up getting kicked out anyway, when the minority investors will eventually just come together to take over the company. And then the Guillemots will have no control anyway. So they're fucked. They have no cake. You've got nothing to bargain with. You've lost. It's over. Get out. You're done. You deserve it too. It's absurd. It's completely mental. Give me 2 minutes. I've just got to go deal with a thing, and I will be right back, and we can move on.
Sing
to the
us
main
a
event.
song of the Hollow Man.
Well, I will say though, ladies and gentlemen, that some folks may be confused in regards to Vivendi. We're not talking about the American company that got bought out by Activision Blizzard, and they got bought out by Microsoft. It is actually a French company, and it's a mass media holding company as well. They have been trying for many years to gobble up all of France's material. In fact, they collaborated with Universal for a period of their history to promote themselves. But now that hasn't continued. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, understanding a company's history is a great way of knowing where the company is headed. And I think for Ubisoft, worst case scenario, they just get fully bought out by Tencent. From my perspective, a Vivendi buyout would be the ideal situation. I know it's a French megacorp, and I'm not usually a fan of France, but Ubisoft under the Guillemots has had their time to shine, and now they're fading away. The sooner they're out of that company, the better, in my view.
And regardless, whoever ends up doing, the ultimate takeover is going to be some large corporate entity. So, like when you're splitting hairs between one corporation conglomerate versus another, I think that I'm more, interested in like what Vivendi would do than what Tencent would ultimately end up doing.
Yeah. The Gilmos are just literally, as Caguana just said, they're just arguing the toss because they don't want to be humiliated. But they also are not aware of the fact that they've already been humiliated. There is, like I said, there is no cake.
Yeah,
they have nothing to buy with. Yeah, they have lost the chair. Yeah, literally that's it. Yeah. And they're sitting there and they're thinking, okay, well, we can still keep control of the company, right? And it's like, no.
There's two BBCs on the bed with your lady, and like you're just sitting there, just kind of like, yeah, this is still good. I'm part of this.
Yeah, it's like the dog in the house that's on fire.
Right.
It's everything. No, they're insane. They've got nothing, and that'll do, I guess, for that. Ubisoft continues to lose. Gamers continue to laugh at them. Whatever happens, it will probably be interesting, to say the least. So, of course, we'll continue to cover it as and when there is more to cover. But that will do for Rush News. We will we'll get into GTA and then, of course, Goonergate, as we said we would. So, thank you very much for sticking with us so far, chat. Do let us know if there's anything you want to say, and that will do for Rush News. Okay, so before we do Goonergate, I wanted to bring up Grand Theft Auto 6 again, because we covered it recently. We talked a bit about it. And one of the things that people have been speculating for so long is whether or not it's going to be woke. We talked about that. And now we have sort of an answer, somewhat anyway. As we've had a report, Rockstar told the writers of GTA 6 to basically not include trans people and other quote-unquote minorities in the roast fest. They will be less crude towards them. Which is funny, really, because, I consider children having bits of their bodies chopped off to cement a delusion pretty crude. But, that's just me. According to this one, this is from John F. Trent, of course, at Fandom Polls, says a new report claims that Rockstar Games instructed its GTA 6 writers to be less crude towards transgender people and other minorities. A report from Jason Schreier, who used to be at Kotaku and is now at Bloomberg, claims Rockstar is asking its writers to be less crude towards transgender people and other minorities, the common targets of throwaway gags in previous versions.
It kind of reminds me of that episode of South Park.
I can't hear anything.
Oh no. It kind of reminds me of that episode. Yeah, we can hear you. It reminds me of that episode of South Park, though, where they were talking about satire when they were going to have Muhammad on there, and they made the whole point that either everything's up for ridicule or nothing is. And
that's the South Park thing.
You can't cherry pick on this shit.
Sorry, for a second there, I couldn't hear anyone again. I was getting a bit worried, but everything okay?
Yeah, Vietnam flashback.
Yeah,
right.
Fucking right. Yeah. So there you go. So I mean, apparently they are just going to selectively choose particular sections of the population and decide that they are beyond the joke. No, you can't. And it's like you said with the South Park thing, the whole everything's funny or nothing is argument absolutely applies here, because that's the only way that things are fair. This when of course, as well, that the agenda is communist, because every communist regime claims to support equality, and yet in every historic instance of a communist regime, some motherfuckers are more equal than others.
Right, and that's why I always say equity is vengeance, because it has nothing to do with people actually getting fair outcomes. It's all about, not only sitting here saying that something's wrong, but then turning around and in your hypocrisy doing the exact same thing that you full well know is supposed to evidently be the wrong thing. So it's like at that point in time, you show yourself to be evil.
Absolutely, that's right. So we're dealing with a reality now where it's looking like this is going to be woke. If you can't
As
make
fuck.
jokes, I mean, there's loads and loads and loads of Tranoid jokes in GTA over the years, tons of them. There's everything from silly billboards and like names of companies and things like that in the universe, up to characters and all this stuff. It's always been fun to take the piss out of transvestites, transgenders, gays, lesbians, straights, whites, blacks, Hispanics. Everybody got roasted equally, and that was the best thing I think about. I mean, I don't speak
That
for
was part of
everyone,
the draw.
but yeah, I'd say that not only did I get excited for GTA games after 3, more specifically, because 1 and 2 were good, but they didn't quite really hammer the parody home until 3.
Right.
I would get hyped, just as hyped, to hear another round of societal roasting as I would to be able to actually play the game.
Right.
So
Literally.
I've had this thought, and I haven't really spoken much on it before because this could be
Go ahead,
very,
man.
very controversial
If you
thing
like.
to say, right? But like the way that these wokies think, right? So when it comes to a fighting game, what are you doing? You're beating the shit out of each other, right? Well, what if the character that you're fighting is a black woman and I'm choosing a white character,
Right.
Yep.
right?
I mean, this
At
is
what point?
get it
At
in,
what point are they going to be like, listen, if you see a black queen showing up, you just leave that game. You hear, white man? Like, you just get out, right?
Right.
At
Yeah.
what point are they going to start doing this? So in GTA, you got to pull someone out of the car, and you can't get in because they've locked them because it's either a minority or a transgender person. Now I know it
Right,
sounds
right.
I mean,
ludicrous,
this is
right?
a rumor already, wasn't it? I mean, like, because of what they did with the latest expansion for GTA Online. Who was talking about that the other day?
I
Was it
was.
you,
Yeah, it
John?
was
What
in the
was
salvage
it?
yard. Yeah, it was the salvage yard missions. And you can't actually target women with your guns or anything like that when you're going and like doing the car.
Wow.
Yep.
So it's
Holy
already happening.
shit.
So it is not as ludicrous as you suggest. I wouldn't be surprised if some company
Grenade
has to-
launchers and flamethrowers.
You have to
Yep.
actually try, don't you? You have to
use
blow something
you have
up
to use
be able
environmental
attack.
damage, lob grenades, or throw them by hand. You know, like it's and so
The
like
white
what
man
Retro's saying-
finds a way, doesn't he, John?
Yeah.
You damn right I did. As soon as I found out that that's what they did, I was like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna get beyond this, limitation that they're trying to box me in, and I'm gonna tell everybody about it." But that's where Retro's completely correct in his assessment. I wouldn't be surprised if some company doesn't have, the I guess shameless aspect to them to prevent themselves from making it so that you can't fight certain people against certain people at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might
so-
punch a trans person and you go instantly to jail. Like the entire SWAT just immediately
Right.
appears.
6
and you're in
stars
jail.
immediate- 7 stars.
Yeah,
Immediately you are. That's it.
straight to jail.
Lawfare.
You've got like the army chasing you, you've got the Air Force chasing you.
Yeah,
Right.
fucking nukes. Like,
Yep. Space
Build it,
lasers as well. Space lasers shooting at you if you're flying.
Right.
oh
right.
man.
Drones. Oh my god. This is what they're gonna do though, because they already obviously for as long as the game series has been around, there were no children in the game, right?
Yep.
You can't they just didn't ever put kids in the game because it's it would force you to have that exact thing where some sick motherfucker would point a gun at a kid in the game and
Yeah.
pull the trigger and then find that they were unable to or something. So it was
Right.
made more sense to just remove children or never
Yep.
put them in the first place. You know why? It's because children are actually vulnerable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Children are innocent. They are. Everyone in the fucking world knows what children are. I don't need to go into it, but that is a very good reason to not include them in this violent, potentially soul-bending fucking gaming experience. And that is common sense to everybody. Pretty much
Right.
everybody who ever heard that. Oh, why are there no kids in GTA? Well, because you would be able to kill them.
I've
Yeah,
never no-
that makes sense. Yeah,
I've
let's not have kids being killed in a game.
Right.
I've
and then-
never noticed that, Will.
Yeah,
you
You
never
just-
noticed that.
No, I've never. I played GTA 4 GTA 5, GTA San Andreas, I've never noticed there was no children in those worlds. And it just goes to show, because of all the franchises I've
It's
ever
immersive,
encountered,
though. Yeah, go on.
it feels like a real world, especially GTA 5. Grand Theft Auto as a concept, as a franchise, especially with GTA 5, is probably the closest I've ever seen to a real world mapping into a simulation. And to the point where I didn't notice that, Will.
Right.
It's like a Matrix. It's like, where are all the kids?
That's immersion for you.
Just finally realized it. Yeah. I know what you mean.
But in the context
there
of...
are actually, there's only ever been like one school in GTA, and that was Los Santos Elementary, I think. And that was in San Andreas, I think.
Yeah.
No, wait. No, was it in? I can't remember whether it was in 5 or San Andreas, but that's the only school as well. Otherwise, they have colleges, and things like that. But no schools, because that would make you wonder where the children are.
Right. And in the context of a mature rated game, it only makes sense to have like the focus be on people that are of age. Because even in GTA 5, the Michael's son is 18. Or actually, he's even older than that. I think his daughter's right at 18. But they both still live at home. One is kind of like
one,
right. One of them's a little princess who's got stars in her eyes, and the other one's just like a comment on the player playing.
I mean, she's a little whore though, isn't she?
Bong rips. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, you've got the fat, mouthy prick gamer, which is fine. There are plenty of them in the world.
Yeah, it's a satire on the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then you've got the, social climber hoe bag daughter who is trying to, like, doesn't she have a scene with like Laszlo hitting on her or something?
Yeah. She's
it's
trying
been
to
a
be
while
on,
since
like,
I played the campaign.
some kind of American Idol-like program.
Yeah, Fame or Shame?
Fame or Shame, exactly. Yes.
Is that it? Yeah, I was trying to think if that was the one from Black Mirror or the one from GTA. Yeah. But there you go. So she's trying to climb the ladder. She's more than willing to suck some celebrity dicks to get there, but she's clearly not a child. She's of legal age, so that's fair enough. But I'm not actually surprised, Ryan, that you said you never noticed that there's no kids in GTA, because the game is designed to be so immersive, and it's a non-stop stream of consciousness, experience. You were in another
it's like
world.
a Matrix.
Almost absolutely. The verisimilitude is there in every other way. So you don't think about it because you're constantly distracted by something else that's just like reality.
Right. It's only when they start cherry picking and taking things out of it that even enters into your mind's eye, and then all this that we've seen play out over the last few years really starts to start permeating what you think about when you're playing the game.
Exactly. And besides, if they were to include schools and children, you know exactly where that could go.
That's a recipe for
disaster. Nobody wants that shit, man.
No.
Yep.
But now we're going to get it now, because they've already done it with the, what the fuck is it? Salvage Yard.
Salvage Yard, yeah.
It's been like 4 years since I played online as well, so there's that.
You're not missing anything.
No, I mean, I still enjoy it. I'd like to go and get my Lamborghini out and fucking rip it again, but I haven't bothered, and I might not for a while, because I'm not feeling very positive about Rockstar or GTA at the moment.
That, and every update's just another version of the same old fetch quests. I mean, all you're really doing in GTA most of the time is CPA work. You're just, buying new property and doing all this stupid bullshit,
Yep. And the heists that took them like 2 years to bring out, and then they just started bringing out a load of other rubbish that nobody wanted or cared about. Yep. Anyway, that's fine. But now we're going to get to the point where, likely with GTA 6, it will be the same, where you won't be able to point a gun at certain types of people. Do you think that will really happen? Because I'm starting to think it will.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean,
in the core game,
it's just your trigger won't actually work, so your gun just is jammed, I guess.
So you won't be able to shoot. Who do you think? Predict who you won't be able to kill.
Trannies, Jews, Muslims, anyone with a protected identity disorder.
Women in sundresses.
The people we can kill, though, are straight, white, male Christians, and anyone
deemed problematic.
Makes
Just
sense.
use grenade
What
launchers.
about black men?
Ooh.
I mean,
Maybe-
It all
maybe
depends
they'll-
on who you're playing as a character.
Maybe they'll have like a little scanner to tell you whether or not they're a chalk ice.
oh my god. Oh my god.
You thought
Chalk
Spear
ice.
Chucker was going to be, you know,
Chalk ice.
Hey,
That's great.
I first discovered that term when it was used against Atreus.
Do the Americans watching even know what a chalk ice is? I mean, I'm sure you can work it out, but like what it actually
I couldn't
means.
say I heard that term until just now myself. so-
Yeah, same.
Yeah, the same was true of Spear Chucker, and look what that led to.
In Britain, a chalk ice is literally just a block of ice cream coated in chocolate.
Mm.
You know,
right.
that's basically.
But you know, I
Like a
mean, look,
regular Magnum.
if GTA 6 fails, good. Fuck them.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
it won't.
Like,
It won't. It will
It
sell.
won't, but it won't
Millions.
Well, there were
do
leaks.
anywhere near what 5 did.
There were leaks recently, guys, that showcased how big the map was in comparison to GTA 5 through a helicopter simulation. There was also map leaks of different parts of the world and that sort of thing, and what is expected in regards to the franchise. I mean, minus this nonsensical element, it is supposedly just going to be a bigger, better in terms of, you know, action packed,
Cool.
better sort of version of GTA 5, ramping everything up to 11. But if they put stuff like this in it,
In
it will
Vice
just
City.
Right.
dilute it.
Right. And
Yeah.
you know, I think that's how they're trying to sell it. But as you're saying, you know, like they're giving everybody a hollow bag. Basically, it's like, you know, and honestly, I was talking to my nephew about this just the other day, saying, you know, I've got 10 months of which to, like, you know, sit here and kind of like say everything that I feel about this thing, and I've been talking about for the last 4 years, to try to at least warn as many people, just along as, you know, same with you guys, about what we're being set up for. And I believe it. The name of the game is Autonata. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but the one
Ananta.
we,
Yeah.
Ananta,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
that,
Yep.
that
The one we
that's my
watched
GTA
last
6. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my GTA 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That
Oh,
looks
dude.
way better. I mean, okay, so that won't be realistic because, of course, it's crazy. You've got toilets running down the street, but you fucking have. But anyway, so it won't replace Grand Theft Auto, but it will be fun, and
Right.
that's fine. That's really all I care
But,
about. It's
no,
just- I
it
brought
won't
up
replace
before.
it, but it could end up being a teacher, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like one of those things that releases, like, and it's going alongside it, and people over here are going, "Oh my god, you know, I can't do this, I can't do that," and people are going, "Yeah, but over
Right.
this way, right?"
Yeah,
And you
And
know,
I will
if
and
you can
Very
accept
eventually.
playing as an anime character, then you can basically do anything you want. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're at least being upfront about it being a free-to-play game. There will be monetization elements, whereas GTA is going to sit here and try to pretend that they're selling you a $70 game only to make sure that you're paying them $8 to $10 a month for their GTA Plus live service, which is an
Yeah.
add-on. And you're not going to actually have all the fullest features of the game unless you do this thing. It's like, if that's what you're going to do, just do that outright. And so I actually have more respect for, you know, Anata than I do for what GTA 6 is trying to get over on everybody.
In all seriousness, I never thought this project would ever see the light of day, considering how successful
6?
GTA. Yeah, I never thought this project would initially be made because of how successful
You thought
GTA
it'd just
5
keep
was.
updating online.
Yeah,
Whatever.
and yeah, GTA Online is also a massive success. And as we know with any online version of a game, it's a great way of stopping future development of future titles because it is the peak of that intellectual property. So this project is also a massive risk, GTA 6. And if they get it wrong, their golden goose will go black.
Right.
It
And
will
to your point-
die.
To your point, Ryan, they even had the opportunity to kind of serve two different kind of gaming communities when they had Red Dead Online actually come out and, you know, kind of take a different tone and a different kind of pacing because it was set in a different period in history. So when they broke the verisimilitude of the online world, I think it was about 3-4 years ago when they changed how the economy works, and like you still had to put in the same amount of effort to get 1/4 of the actual reward. There was a mass exodus. I was one of those people, and that left it outright. And I actually brought people up that had never played games before through Red Dead Online. That now, like, it's part of the reason I'm actually on YouTube, because people would say, "Oh man, you're like so good at doing this kind of stuff. Why don't you actually do like a gaming channel or like like any of this whatnot?" So yeah, they don't even know how to actually appreciate what they have, and then they spoiled it once with Red Dead Online, and now they can't even understand what got them to the dance in the first place.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, okay, so first of all, you're probably going to have a situation where certain pedestrians, or whatever you want to call them, cannot be just openly attacked. If they do that, it's going to break the immersion immediately. Because they're not just making a new game, they're making a sequel. Right. Or the next installment in a franchise that until a certain point had complete and total equality, and you can kill everybody in cold blood anytime you want for no fucking reason, because you're a piece of shit, so then if you suddenly find that you start being unable to target certain people, or for example, if you're playing online and you're playing as a black person and the cops are less hostile to you or something crazy, or more hostile, that's gonna suck. It's gonna destroy it. And I think the game will sell millions. There's no way around it. It's the most anticipated game ever. But it could go the way it could go the way of terrible word of mouth. Rushing it within a week.
I think that's what the next 10 months that we have in front of us are for, is to actually point out all of these red flags at every turn.
Poison the well, John. Yeah, we have 10 months to poison the well.
You're right.
I mean, first of all, we have to ascertain. First of all, we have to actually prove that this is all actually true. Right now, we're still just speculating.
And I don't
but
think
then,
that
of course,
poisoning the well.
Fucking no mercy if any of this is true. Absolutely.
Right. I don't think that we're poisoning the well, though. I think what we're doing is actually pointing out to the people that the well is poisoned, and it's kind of like going from sugar to NutraSweet or aspartame, as it's better known. If we accept the blame for poisoning the well, then we might as well give up now, because it means that the leftists are right. Right. When they call us grifters. All we're doing is trying to prevent people from getting cancer by taking in something that they think is sweet, but ultimately is just
gives them cancer
and bullshit.
Well, I'd like to thank Gal Pal Val for pointing out how nice my hair looks.
GPV in the chat, hello and represent. Okay, well, there you go. The GTA situation continues to roll on. If they are not going to allow jokes about TQs and pluses, what else are they not going to allow?
It's going to be
speculation is rampant.
It's going to be like Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. You try to shoot the black woman and it's like, God damn, our bullets keep deflecting. It's like, keep firing. Diversity points protect me.
Isn't it until I can't remember how that ends. Doesn't it get turned off? Doesn't Ocelot shut it down?
Yeah.
Oh no, but then she actually manages to do it herself anyway, right? Never explained. Thank you, Kojima.
Kojima never has to, because it's so.
If you get into an MGS game or a Kojima game, then you are basically already checking your sanity at the door.
It's so compelling. You don't question those things.
Yeah. Anyway, that will do. We have to talk about it. The ridiculous infighting bullshit that's been going on for a few days now within Gamergate. As was it Smash JT who came up with the name Goonergate?
Yeah, it's the worst thing he's ever done.
I actually love it. I actually love it. I think it's I think it's spot on. I absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant. I kind of wish I'd come up with it myself, because it's one of the wittiest things I've seen in a long time. It's ubiquitous as fuck now as well, by the way. Even like the huge channels are talking about it and calling it Goonergate. So congrats to Smash JT. If nothing else, that was at least funny. The rest of this is fucking sad and pathetic and stupid. And well, I might as well just start it. I might as well just put the damn clip on the screen and we can roast the ever-loving shit out of it. Just making sure my my ex isn't going to pop up with a load of messages from you lot and other people.
Oh.
And
Your
I'll get
eyes
it on
peeled,
screen.
folks.
So just bear with me a moment to get my my notifications to piss off. And
Well, while you're doing that, I will.
fuck it, I just won't look at them. Let's just get this on the screen.
I will say, you know,
There it
this
is.
is the third time I've talked about this now.
Yeah.
First on my show, it was supposed to be Will's show, but yesterday and technical problems. I also briefly mentioned this on the last episode of SNH, giving my perspective just as this tinderbox was being set on fire. And now I'm going to repeat what I've said twice before, in that this is making a mountain out of a molehill. Why can't we just agree to disagree and move on? And we should we should all, rather, because I'm not talking to one person, we should all understand that different creators from different parts of the world have different perspectives. And as more and more people from other parts of the world enter the fray, from parts of the world like where Will's based in the second and third world, you're going to get especially religiously motivated perspectives that are like, this is unacceptable. So while the secular moderates may be the majority,
won't get that here.
For
Even
now,
though they're all Catholic, there's a lot of sin goes on in the Philippines.
that's a very strange dichotomy for the Philippines.
It's not really. If you actually look into the history of the country, then you'll realize that it is the inevitable result of what happens when you take a culture that has orgies as worship and then introduce Catholicism to it.
Yeah.
Right.
By force.
I know where I'm going for my retirement.
I don't spend a hell of a lot of time in church as a rule, not being a practicing Christian, although I was christened. But I understand that the confession booths are used really often here. But I wouldn't know any better, really. And I don't want to comment because it's none of my business. So there's that too. And I don't want to piss off anybody. So whatever. Let's just see then. So this clip came out. Pirate Nation posted threw a grenade into the center of Gamergate. A grenade.
I love that dude. He's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, he does great stuff. And then I don't think even he probably predicted that it was going to cause this. But it has, and we have to talk about it. Or at least I have to talk about it to you guys or with you guys, because I haven't had a chance to talk about it except in a video. I made my take really clear. I mean, I don't know where we want to start. We really have to point out, first of all, this game, First Descendant, has this character. Her name is Haley. She is using musical abilities or whatever. I don't know. I haven't played the fucking game. She dances. She uses musical powers or whatever in the game, and that's why she shakes her ass. The costume is optional. You have to opt into it and buy it, right? And whatever else. So it's not like you just buy the game and immediately just get this bare ass in your face.
Yeah.
Okay. But not that it would bother me if you did, because who cares, right? I mean, it's nothing like, again, living in Asia in a tropical climate. Go to the beach. You'll see girls in bikinis doing TikTok dances every time you turn your head. It's pretty much inevitable. So, and they're Catholics too, by the way. So there's that. However, some people are a little more sanctimonious than that, and that would apparently, unfortunately, be Dread Roberts, who I'm sort of aware of as a YouTuber. Big supporter of Stellar Blade, which is baffling at this point. And of course, he came out with this statement. I'm going to read it as I have to, and then we're only doing this once, and then we're never talking about it again on the fucking show. Right. So let's just do this, right? It says, any person with a modicum of decency would say no to the question, of course, being, is this what gamers want? Says, this is not where the future of gaming should be headed. The constant promotion of half-naked women as the greener side of gaming is getting ridiculous, and I'm beginning to think that these people who say they want to save gaming don't actually want to save it. So many claim to care about morals and the future generations and not giving an inch of progress to devs who push woke ideology or whatever else, but then they'll turn around and tell young men and women to support titles that throw this stuff in your face. Most of what I've seen for months now from these accounts are butt cheeks and cleavage. Well, that's a fucking overstatement. No, don't react yet. Read it. Seriously, how is this making gaming better? All we're doing is pushing normies in the same direction, but on a parallel track. Not sure what he means by that. People may argue we just want to push back on the ugly women agenda, just trying to make a point to the lefty weirdos. Okay, so where do we draw the line then? Because there doesn't appear to be one. Doesn't have to be one. No, wait, don't react yet. This is why I say we need real adults with real ambitions and aspirations and a mature outlook on the future to lead the charge in this industry. People who have their priorities straight and their arousal in check. Okay, first things first. There are some ideas in here that sound
calling us degenerates
when you haven't thought about it for longer than it took to type this. There are some ideas here that sound maybe at face value like they're good ideas. Okay. Right. Then on the other hand, it is bookended by two statements of absolute sanctimonious condescending wank that will piss off absolutely anybody that engages with it for even a second. I was pissed off by this. Everybody was pissed off by this. It's terminally intensive, the tone of the tweet, and you are never going to convert anybody by trying to make them feel shitty about themselves. Okay, so there's that straight out of the gate. Secondly, this is okay, you guys go. Yeah,
well, the interesting thing is like Dread Roberts, which I mentioned yesterday on System Crash, he's part of the FFS Discord, right? And so I kind of saw this in the shadows, a few months ago when I started getting people to join in, be a part of it, because I saw that we had all these kind of diverse perspectives on things and everything like that. And I just knew at some point in time, like people's personalities clash and things like that, but I wanted to actually have like a good kind of broad range of voices that I'm willing to support. I mean, I still fully support Dread Roberts. I may not agree with him on every point, this being one of them, but he did his mass following purge, and I was one of the people that he no longer follows now, which I still try to oh, that's whatever. But in a few weeks, maybe once this has died down, I'll reach out and olive branch to him, because he's allowed to have his own individual perspective. But the thing that we're concerned about here is actually having creatives have artistic integrity and merit to do what they feel is within their own voice to speak to. And that's the problem that we've had with like this DEI culture being from the top down. But this in and of itself is also a top down kind of directive of, well, you have to be responsible and not like in this arousal state or whatever. And it's like, well, maybe I am somebody who's perfectly fine with not being decent or like a certain level of righteous to be able to get on this ride. And that kind of limitations in what you find to be allowable, that's censorship. And so you don't have to agree with it, you don't have to purchase it, you don't have to be in on any of these things, but sit here and start casting those values on other people opens you up when you're sitting here saying that we're all sinful in nature. Well, this is pride at work, and so if you can't actually understand that through what you're saying and doing in this instance, and not actually showing ultimately forgiveness to those around you to, actually kind of live their lives as they see fit. The gift from God is free agency. And there's not anyone in heaven basically that isn't to some degree a sinner. First two people from the Bible that were let in were a murderer and a thief. So, maybe take it down a notch and understand it's not your place to be so judgmental. And you don't have to appreciate this thing necessarily, but it doesn't mean that everybody has to fall in line with the exact same way that you're doing things.
Yeah. Agreed. Go.
Oh, you go. No, you go.
No. You go. It's fine. I'm going to continue compiling shit.
What a fucking idiot. Right? What a fucking idiot. For starters, if you're in a video game shooting people, what's the difference?
Yeah, there's that angle to it too. What about all the ultra violence?
Right.
I mean, I think in MK10, there's one of the fatalities where Scorpion slices just the front of someone's head off, so that their face slides off to reveal the brain and still wagging half tongue.
So here's the thing.
Close up.
So here's the thing. As a Christian, right? Here's the thing. We are all sinners. It's not our fault. Right, we were cursed. If you think of it like that, we handed the keys of our house over to an absolute fucking piece of shit, and he decided to ransack it and curse us for all time. And through Jesus Christ, we can be saved. However, we are all sinners, which is why we can be saved, because God realized that we were conned. Right now, when they come to things like because this is the lust. This is where this is going, right? And I spoke about this with the boys yesterday. This is the lust angle. This is when they're going to start bringing up about looking with lust, right? The problem with that is that they don't, yet again, like a lot of people, they don't fully investigate what these things mean. Now, for example, if you see a hot chick out there, you're like, oh, wow, she's beautiful, right? But then when you start to go, what can that beauty do for me? That's lust, right? There is no consent there, right? That's the difference, okay? Not to mention, they're not fucking real, right? We're talking about video games here, and if they're going to go down that gateway drug of, oh, but if we get the booba and we get the butt, what's the next step? It's like, but you are literally going to play GTA. You're going to pull motherfuckers out of a car. You're going to smack the shit out of them, right? You're going to shoot people. You're going to probably do like rob stores and stuff like that. But too far, like, and this is the problem, is that like this is the 80s Christian zealotry, starting to creep back in, right? Because now that we're winning, some of these people are starting to go, right, now I want it my way.
First of all, it's too early for that. It's far too early for that. We haven't rooted out the other shit. There's too many angles to approach this from. That's why I'm having a lot of trouble organizing my thoughts. One of them that I want to say in no particular order is that the wokeness only became possible, only was allowed to rise to the position of such authority and power that it has or had because of the reaction to all the preachy fucking bullshit from the Christians. Okay. And don't get me wrong, I was christened. I'm not a practicing Christian at all. I prefer the George Carlin, 2 commandments to the actual 10, the second of which being thou shalt keep thy religion to thyself. That's what I like. I don't care if you want to believe whatever you want to believe. If you want to believe we're all fallen, we're all cursed, or if like me, you just want to believe that we're all just here. And whether there was a creator or not is really irrelevant to our lives and our experience. But that's me. I don't care. I'm not here to preach. I don't like being preached to. I don't like being preached about indoctrinating children to identify as the opposite sex. And I don't like being preached to about this shit either. I want no preaching. Net zero preaching ever from anyone. No one is perfect. No one is a moral arbiter. There is no fucking right that anyone has to start fucking condescending and talking down to everybody else when they are also happy to jump in the bunker and fight the actual degenerates. Secondly, this shit is largely harmless. Okay, it's really nothing, especially if you consider 1996. What do we got? Lara Croft. Okay, we got that. What do we got before that? We've got like Katana, Melina, characters like that. Or what about Duke Nukem 3D? Shake it, baby.
Hell, even
this stuff has always been around. What about Custer's Revenge or Metroid, the bikini? Yeah. What about all these games? There's some of the shit in Japan that comes out. There's a game there called Battle Raper 2. I am not kidding.
The fuck?
I'm serious. There's a game called Battle Raper. Yeah.
Yep. Well,
and I'm only saying that on the live stream because I don't care.
So it's a franchise. Was there ever a third one?
I have no idea. All I know is that the second one is called Battle Raper 2: The Game.
Wow.
Thank you for clarifying that, I suppose.
Gee, the first one must have been successful. I mean, like.
You're never going to be able to convince people that they can't have a bit of sex in their entertainment. There's nothing inherently evil or wrong with enjoying some minor titillation, which is why it irritated me so much. And unfortunately, bless his heart, Smash JT tried to oppose this, but actually kind of made it worse.
Yeah, there's first of all, I'd just like to interject momentarily. There is nothing social about social media, folks. In fact, text-based communication is the easiest way to alienate people. More and more when I see Dread Roberts' comments, his statement, not his comment, his statement, the more I'm starting to realize that he was venting. Because folks, you don't get to see behind-the-scenes stuff. But this was essentially the straw that broke the camel's back moment to months dare I say, years of pre-existing animosity behind the scenes between more moderate secular creators and more radical religiously based creators, almost all of them Christian, because we don't have many Jews and Muslims doing this. If we did, I don't think we'd have nearly the level of controversy, because they're a lot sharper with their condemnations, both in front and behind you. But from my perspective, this way of trying to agree to disagree and move on through social media is the worst way to do it, because you cannot get the nuance and the understanding through a conversation we're having in nearly the same way as you can in this kind of Jesus Christ, speak of the devil. Oh Christ, that was, I've done it again. I'm twisting all sorts of of things together. My oh my. But that was my point, and I stand by it.
Well, you know, like I mentioned yesterday, but we got a little bit larger audience here today, so I think it merits kind of getting back into is, you know, this comes off to some degree like, you know, fence sitting, and you know how I feel about fence sitters. You know, they want to sit here and try to say, oh, well, that's of course abhorrent, but so is this, but you should come to me because I'm the arbiter of, you know, truth. But I think what we're seeing is, you know, and we even talked about this a few months ago about like what happens when we get to the end of this. Are we all going to actually still be able to be unified and actually, like, you know, keep on digging? You know, and I think
we know the answer to that, John. It's no.
I know. But I think, you know, like I said yesterday, I think what happened was we got so good at burning witches that we just started looking within our ranks for who's the next witch, rather than actually saying, all right, now that we've taken care of these witches, let's go find out where the witchcraft emanates from and actually destroy the witchcraft, which, you know, is the globalist corporatism that I often speak of, that's directed from, you know, the WEF and the UN and all that kind of fuckery that is constantly at play. That's really where, like, you know, the focus should be aiming towards ultimately, if we want to put an end to, like, you know, what is ultimately behind this DEI fuckery. But instead of actually taking the time to say, all right, well, we've done this, now let's dig deeper and find out even more about why this even came to be. It's just people now just saying, all right, well, now that I've gotten my venting out about this aspect of degeneracy, I'm going to turn around and look at all the people that are standing here shoulder to shoulder with me and start casting them out too.
You look, you just don't preach to people. If people want to be preached to, they go to church.
Yeah.
Okay. If they won't, then they won't. That's why I never went to church. I wanted to sit at home and play Mario.
Well, I think the greatest lesson to learn from Goonergate, if you want to call it that, is don't vent publicly, folks. There are plenty of things that fine folks and fellow creators have said about me, both jovially and in a serious tone. I don't vent on social media. I barely speak my mind on social media. In fact, Will, when I was a topic of the day through Speargate, I treated the situation
shut the fuck up
with the seriousness it deserved. And I think this controversy wouldn't, if you want to call it a controversy, wouldn't be a controversy if people, and I know this is unnatural for human beings to do, don't vent in the public domain.
Yeah. Right. And so anyway, as I said, it got quite wildly exacerbated when Smash JT came in and told him that he's being exactly what, he's no better than those he's trying to stop. Which is actually, I think, an accurate statement. It's absolutely an accurate assessment. However, it also, again, it's going to get lost in communication. It's gonna come off as far more harsh than he probably meant it. He was probably just sort of nudging the guy and going like, you're not being any better than them, but it comes across as you are no better than, and that is going to exacerbate things fucking immensely, because a lot of the people we align with who oppose wokeness and all of this shit are absolutely, Christian. We come at this from, I mean, when I say we, obviously I'm talking about me and people who think like me, in as much as I'm an agnostic, I'm not part of any particular church or denomination in any practicing way. I'm more of a pragmatist where I can be. But a lot a lot of us are aligned with Christian values. And if I have to pick one of these two, I would really much rather go with the Christian, Abrahamic descended, dogma or just sort of guidelines, if possible, than have anything to do with being within 100 miles of anything woke, anything DEI, anything pride, or anything that has any designs on any children. So, lesser of two evils in my mind, but not that one is expressly evil, which is why I pointed out that while Dread Roberts is probably morally right, that's not actually going to benefit anyone. We are not luminous beings of pure fucking angelic light. We are human flesh, bags of meat who are capable of making good and bad decisions. And everybody who's ever lived has done both. So Smash JT is more practical. The last thing that I pointed out in my response was the fact that the ultra condescending part here, where he says we need real adults with real ambitions and aspirations. That shit's already in practice. What do you think the opposition to wokeness is?
It's venting. I mean, that part of the statement, the most, was a vent designed to get a reaction. Because this is it's a long-standing animosity, folks, that goes back months. I remember myself as someone who analyzes fine folks and fellow creators. I mean, we value and respect the work that fellow creators has done, including Dread Roberts. But when moderate secularists who want the cream of the crop rises to the top, interact, for lack of a better word, positively with pop culture content creators who have a religious edge to them, well, we can agree to disagree and move on and develop and improve on one another. And in Dread Roberts' case, he hasn't made a video for a solid month. He hasn't made shows for a good few months, which proves that before this situation, prior to this situation, he was disenfranchised, disillusioned. And he, as a result, vented about it. And that whole situation with the first descendant, that clip, was the straw that broke the camel's back. I know it's unnatural for people to not vent, but for God's sake, to use that term, folks, quite literally in this case, do not vent in the public domain because you will open a Pandora's box.
Right.
Absolutely have. Yeah, this is what's happened. Go on.
Yeah, to echo the point that I made in the earlier story, it's either all acceptable or none of it is. And from your personal perspective, as Retro was saying, if you find, these kind of sexual-based, proclivities to be off the table, then as a good God-fearing Christian in your own right, then why are you acceptable of these other things that would be just as sinful, And so I myself, I don't necessarily have a specific religion, but that's because I tend to find that, even in the name of good faith, a lot of people get lost behind the silly hat that they wear, because they get way too caught up in their religion rather than to even appreciate. And they can't even appreciate in good faith what that actually means, because it's all like, well, no, you have to do everything the exact way I do, and it's like that's not what
that's where Smash JT is saying you're no better, trying to censor or twist someone into a particular paradigm that suits you is exactly what the woke have been doing.
Right.
It's just that their shit is more radical and more just offensive to humans than what the Christians have said, and that's fine. It's just the other thing. What I wanted to point out from my own tweet, I know that's maybe comes across as narcissistic, but it's really just notes for me to reorganize my thoughts, remembering how I feel. We are meant to be grown adults already who can indulge, and we know the right time and the right place. Everyone's into something, right? Some people just, they want to watch porn. Maybe some people more than others. Some people like feet. Hell, some people like piss. I have no idea what the hell's up with any of these fucking people. I have no fucking clue. Not a clue at all. Somebody somewhere in the world, no doubt, somebody somewhere was turned on by two girls, one fucking cup. All right? And there are people that, you know what I'm saying?
But you're not wrong.
People are people, okay? I don't like any of this, but I can't argue that it must exist somewhere, because no one makes these fucking things for nobody, right?
Yeah,
So
and I
people can
usually say as a
indulge
guy,
we don't talk about it. We don't want to hear about it. Do it in the privacy of your own fucking house or wherever you want.
Yeah.
Don't make it my problem, and we'll all get along fantastically. The same goes for this. We are, by virtue of having children and raising them, supposed to be turning them into people who can function in what we have decided is an appropriate society.
right?
And if they have their little kinks or perversions or whatever, to be able to indulge in them in a safe environment that doesn't hurt anybody or bother anyone. That's why we don't like Drag Queen Story Hour.
Right.
Okay.
And
I don't expect to walk down the street and have it be the same fucking environment as a strip club.
Right. And to your point, as a guy who worked in a house of ill repute myself, you know, like I saw people with
tested all the products, folks.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go.
But I saw people with all various forms of proclivities. Like, you know, like there are various extents of like, you know, what is, you know, porn to someone. And like I wrote this down just as a note to remind myself. But, you know, pornography is hard to define, but you'll know it when you see it. Right. And so, but that's a personal kind of choice, or just, I guess, a way of like your own discernment at work. And so this is wrong
of what he said here. Where do we draw the line?
Individually,
that is an entirely subjective question.
Yeah.
There is no one answer for that. There are cultures, there are subcultures, there are people whose own idiomatic or idiosyncrasies will determine for them where the line is.
Right.
Everyone's different. The
he's a Christian, isn't he?
Where and when and how? Well, clearly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, the only reason why I asked is because if we then pulled in a Muslim who dresses their entire woman in a bedsheet, right?
You are right.
Like,
this is something I thought of earlier on. Yeah.
Right. Now, like, and listen, I love Mel. I think Mel's cool, but sometimes people do get a little bit very zealous, you know, with their faith because, you know, they really want people saved. And I get that, I do. But like sometimes you got to be really careful. So she's got tattoos, which is not against the Bible, only if you put idols on your body that you worship above God. That's the problem, right? But there's a lot of people out there that still don't know that. They think having tattoos is just out of the question, right? And this is where people need to have good discernment, you know, and to research. Yeah, you have to research this stuff. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, Mel, like she doesn't dress like, you know, an OnlyFans person. She just dresses whatever, but she's showing more skin than say a woman of Islam would show.
100%.
So who's right? Right?
Exactly
he talks about drawing the line. Who's right here?
Yeah.
Right? Where do we start doing that? And that's where you have to be very
you're absolutely right. This is what I was thinking earlier on. It's like they've decided to draw the line at, you know, having people completely covered from fucking head to toe, specifically, especially if they're married, which of course, I mean, I think that's insane and childish personally. Sorry to any Muslims who may be offended by that statement, but my personal belief is that people should be allowed to wear whatever the fuck they like, as long as it syncs up with whatever society they're living in and what has been agreed by everyone to be culturally acceptable. You know what I'm saying? But you know, you don't walk around with your dick hanging out, you know, because that's fucking considered indecent exposure. That's just something we've all come to agree.
But in places like India, people will drop shit right on the street.
Well,
you know?
Yes, that's there. This is the problem with human being, ladies and gentlemen, especially on social media. Where do you draw the red line? It is the immortal question, which even to this day never has an answer. And I think from our perspective, more moderate, more secular perspective, based more in the West, based more with the mindset of the West over the past 70 to 80 years, especially for the United States. Because let's face it, folks, most content creators are based in the US. Most of the viewers currently are based in the US. In terms of content creation, the two biggest audiences are the United States and India. And as time goes on, and as the digital world fully embraces the entire planet, the Christian mindset, the religious mindset that we would consider more radical, will become the majority, especially as more and more Muslim, Hindu, and other religious groups, alongside other Christian groups in the second and third world, enter the fray. So the moderate secular perspective may be the majority now, But
Mm.
folks like ourselves are going to be in for an awakening when tens of, if not hundreds of millions of people say, this is wrong in gaming, there needs to be moderation.
Right.
Yeah.
To use a
I
term.
mean, so I think, yeah, the line should be drawn at things that cause harm or distress to the innocent, basically. But that doesn't change the fact that when you have something like this, another important point that I haven't seen discussed anywhere near enough is the fact that we aren't talking here about something that you can't avoid.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to. We're talking about we're talking about entertainment that you have to buy and then make a subsequent purchase again to get this costume. But in general, even if I was to take it to a wider area than that and say, okay, all gaming, all movies, all comic books, all everything, even watching this stream is something that people have to opt into. You have to decide if you are going to be happy to potentially run into someone in an MMO or whatever kind of game you're playing who may be running around in the character's underwear just for fucking lols or doing a sexy dance. I mean, how is this any worse, for example, than the night elves dancing in World of Warcraft?
It's the exact same thing.
They dance like strippers. It's insane. They're twerking in it, for crying out loud, before the word even fucking existed.
And if you're somebody steeped in your faith, you know, it's like, it's not like they have a sign outside of the door of your particular religious, you know, building that you adhere to that says you must be this pious to go through the doors. Like, no, like the whole idea of, like, you know, actually being forgiving and accepting, that's, you know, that's beyond your place in this whole thing. Like, your place is to, you know, go through your own life, make your own choices of your own free agency. And then at that point in time, you know, to ultimately be judged through forgiveness, rather than, like, you know, sitting here and casting about on everybody, trying to take the nature of God down to the street level and saying, this is the way God thinks. It's like, God is imbued in everyone and everything. That's the whole idea of being a manifestation of God. So, you know, like, through every good deed and through every bad deed, God is there. You know, if you
choose to see it, fine.
If you believe in that sort of thing, and if you don't, that's not really my place to put on you.
Ultimately, John, as with all controversies, I should know, I was in one of them. It's up to the people to decide who is correct. And for now, as we have seen it, more people have sided with the moderate secular perspective rather than the more radical religious perspective.
Even most Christians have sided with what I would call our side. I'm talking about my side.
But we have to understand the nature of content creation is forever changing. And as the years and decades go on, you, me, and everyone here will realize that the more, what we would consider radical religious perspective will gain a lot of traction very, very quickly.
Yep. And it's like I often say, you either get the joke or you become the joke. And Dread Roberts has turned himself into a clown in front of us.
It's unfortunate because he's like a decent dude. He sided with us on most things, so I know he's just venting. The one thing that really irritates me, besides the ending, okay, so the two things, the ending and the beginning, this sentence here, everything else that he said in the middle could have been interpreted much more gently if the first thing he said was that any person with a modicum of decency would say no. You are automatically labeling anybody who sees no particular issue in this as morally inferior.
Or degenerate.
And that is not the way to go about this. We had decades of God botherers bothering gamers like Jack Thompson and people like that, inventing controversies and hunting down the fucking any piece of evidence that they can get to try and smear gaming and other media too, but gaming in particular, as somehow bad for the soul. It made everybody so fucking tired of Christianity, of any kind of religion, that they all, myself included, I was a vehement atheist for years. And then it's only recently when I've seen the extreme of that in wokeness, in the degeneracy that we're seeing now, that I've warmed to the Christians again, because it really is the lesser of the extremes.
Yeah, and this is where, like, Mel and this dude, like, they have to be very careful, right?
Don't
like,
repeat the same mistakes again. You just
Yeah,
put people's backs up when you do this shit.
I knew people that wouldn't even let their kids watch Harry Potter because they thought it was,
Oh,
witchcraft.
yeah,
and
yeah,
sorcery,
I heard of that.
right?
I heard that.
And
I
I'm
was
pretty
like a
sure
teenager,
that these people are probably fans of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and
I
this
know,
was
yeah.
exactly in the opposite
Right.
direction of what they're
It's 'cause it's
ultimately
new
even
and different.
striving for, and that's the real sad thing about it all is it's like I understand that it might be well intentioned, but the way that you go about bringing this up, this just doesn't work for even what you're even trying to get across. And I think ultimately what should have been the response to this was somebody should have just played the clip from Big Lebowski of, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the problem is that the reason I don't want to keep talking about this for days and days and days
Yeah.
and more
There's no
is
reason
because
to.
it needs to be snuffed out immediately. Already, it's starting to turn us into a joke in the eyes
Right.
of our enemies and the cause that we're all supposed to be on here with Gamergate is to reestablish common sense, reality, and such in our media, particularly gaming.
Which is
Well, you can
ultimately
only
what
keep
MAGA
any
reflects these
extremes.
days.
Well, you can only keep things under the rug for so long, Will. As I said before, this this was essentially a fine fellow creator who became disillusioned with what he was doing, venting on social media. This would have been far better as a My Thoughts video than a social media vent. In regards to smothering the story as a topic of the day, I absolutely agree. But we all have to understand as creators that unless we have time to vent, because we don't always agree, then it will build and build and build behind the scenes, and then an innocent spark from a fine fellow account on X causes that spark completely innocently, which ignites the tinderbox. So I think what's needed to ensure that the bubble doesn't burst is for people to work things out behind the scenes, to be open, honest, and transparent. If you have a problem with a creator's perspective, tell them about it openly, honestly, and transparently, whether it's publicly on a show or behind the scenes after the show or before the show.
Right.
Yeah. See, I have a problem with them conflating things with like porn, right? When it's clearly not. I mean, I personally think all porn should be banned from social media, personally, because then you
do too, actually.
you then personally get rid of all the degenerate, like the actual degenerates. I mean, look at all the people that flock to Blue Sky. I call it the Diddy network for a reason, right? Because within one fucking day, they had like 30 or 40,000 like inappropriate things towards little people being reported because of all the people that were coming
just
from
like
Twitter.
Instagram and Twitter before Musk.
Yeah. So, these people want to sit there and go, oh my God, the fucking pixel boobs and butts. Oh shit. Where is your outcry for the actual infestation of real shit on the
I know.
platform?
It's like there are places where a holy crusade would be much more welcome and possibly even required in society than somebody wanting to zoom. Right when I was talking about the decisions that you have to make to get to the point where you're looking at this ass. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so you have to have bought the game, or I don't know if the game's free to play or whatever, but then you have to buy the costume, then you have to dress the character in the costume, make them do the dance, and then zoom the camera in, and then share it on social media.
Yeah.
Like you've done all of that by opting in again and again and again and again and again. At the end of the day, everybody should have their own fucking autonomy, their own agency to be able to make their own bloody decisions. And if they decide to damn themselves, if such a thing even exists, then so fucking be it.
Yep.
And
just don't bother us with it.
And it was an innocent question to begin with. That's why I stood by what I've said on more than one occasion in regards to this topic of the day. If people just, if creators just, iron out their differences, whether it's publicly or privately, then none of this would have happened. And I think this is one of the main reasons why creator communities as bubbles get so big they have to burst, because you've got all this dark shit that builds up because people are unwilling to condemn one another for differences of opinion. They just wait until the ideal moment to strike, and that's when the bubble fucking bursts.
That's why
folks.
open,
and all
honest communication is important.
Exactly. If you've got a problem with what I have to say, if you have a problem with my perspective or my view, whether you're a viewer or a creator, for fuck's sake, tell me openly, honestly, and transparently. Then none of this shit would happen, and you wouldn't get disillusioned creators venting on social media.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely right. Here's
as quickly as possible.
Carlin, who I still maintain would side with the absolute middle here. He wouldn't approve of wokeness either, but here he is.
As long as they one additional commandment, thou shalt keep thy religion to thyself.
I actually agree with
good
that.
faith, and that's it.
I don't care what anyone wants to believe. My mum was very much what I call a god botherer. I know it's not exactly the nicest name ever, but it's just kind of meant in good faith as a joke.
Yeah.
She had, what she would perceive to be a very strong relationship with the Almighty, and that's absolutely fine. I was extremely against it for a very long time. Now, like I said, I've softened to it. Ultimately, I don't want anyone selling me rules for my fucking life.
Right.
I'm a person. I've grown up. I see good. I don't need a Bible to know good from evil, and I don't need to go to drag queen story time with little kids to know that that's fucking sick.
Right.
I got in trouble a little while ago because I somebody took the reference of me saying that being gay was like being on meth, and that's not what I meant, right?
I'm going to use that term.
There we go.
Well, there's a lot of crack involved.
Yeah. Wow, I just write some cells. Anyway, so what happened was, if I can tell this story just quickly, right?
Yeah.
Is the fact that like the fundamental mistake a lot of Christians do, especially if your parents is, and the atheists do this. They go, well, what if your kid was gay, right? And what you're supposed to do, like any decent parent, like the father does, is that he loves us regardless. I'm
kidding.
You can do the Martin Lawrence thing. What was it Martin Lawrence that said? Was it Martin Lawrence that said he'd like? It was Kevin Hart. He'd smashed the. The dollars. Yeah. No, what you're supposed to do, right? You don't have to agree with their decision, but you don't cast them out. You love them. You go, you know what? I love you. I don't have to affirm what you've done, and I will pray one day that maybe, just maybe. Right, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Jesus didn't cast people out, I mean, Mary, like at least like I'm assuming, or many people, like they keep sinning. We are born cursed, unfortunately. That doesn't make us bad people. It just means that the only thing that the father, and if you look at it at the perspective as a parent, so Will and John, I think John, have you got kids, John?
No.
Can't even look after himself.
The world is blessed by me not reproducing, I'm sure. So
raising them
so if you look at with your child, Will, you're going to be like, I'm going to love them no matter what.
Yeah,
I'm going to love them no matter what. Even if it's difficult, even if I can't help protect them, which is exactly what the father, experiences on the daily. He can't help us except for what he's already done. He's given us, what we can do, but you don't cast people out. And this is where Christians have made mistakes. And this is what this stuff is starting to sniff a little bit like now, where they're starting to be like, oh, we need to start like labeling and pointing out the heretics within our group. If you're not diehard as me, that's a problem. And it's very dangerous. Like I talk a lot about faith around my son sometimes. But I have never said you must do this and you must do that. And over time, he has come to me with both research he's found or things like that, and started to, ask questions. You're perfectly correct, Will, with that clip. You don't force it upon people.
You'll never
lead by example. If you go, listen, I'm not perfect. My sort of like subtitle on my Christian channel is like, we're not meant to be perfect. We're just meant to be his. And that came to me because as a father, I would just want my kids to love me. That's it. I just want to love me, and that's it. You know, that's
Yeah.
all I require. I don't care if they're not famous. I don't care if they don't have a job. I will take care of them. That's all that matters. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, I have no particular ill will to Dread Roberts or anybody else whose content I enjoy, whose allegiance I appreciate in this culture war, being Christian and all that stuff. I just don't need the preaching, the moral grandstanding, the virtue signaling. I cannot stand virtue signaling. It's fucking bullshit. And no matter whether you are doing it for God or for the devil, apparently, no one is in the position to stand above everybody else and tell them that they're better than them, unless unless enough people actually believe they are. We see this with anyone that anyone has ever held in high regard, like a celebrity or anything like that. My God, have we found out what a bunch of unbelievable retards they are? For example, just knock it off. Like, stop anybody ever telling anybody how to live. Fuck you. You know better than I am. You don't know anything that I don't have access to. There's nothing you can possibly know that I can't also know if I do the right research. I don't need to be told what is good and bad. I know what hurts. I know what kills. I know what harms. I know what maims. I know what is soul destroying, if you believe in that, and what isn't. And I think that's what we are supposed to be able to define about ourselves in order to be considered sentient and adult and mature. And so if a guy wants to look at an ass and just enjoy it, I mean, if I see something that I think is attractive and I look at it for a couple of seconds, then I think, that looks nice. Oh no, what am I going to do? Am I a bad person now? Fuck no, I'm a human.
Right.
I
think and I think we could keep berating the point, but I think that we've actually come to the completion on what this topic really even merits, is that this was a little bit of a dust up that got way blown out of proportion. And ultimately, we're not trying to cast these people out. If anything, like I said, Dread Roberts, in a few weeks, I'll, reach out to him again and be like, hey, man, like, you're still on my Discord. I hope you understand. I don't have any personal issues with you. So, it's like, even
the dark shit has been released, folks. Now we can relax for another year until another tinderbox moment bursts a bubble and releases more dark shit.
The most important thing in all of this is that we must remember that we are aligned against something that actually does want to corrupt.
Right.
And that needs to be opposed in every possible way. Whether you're doing it for God or you're doing it for common sense, shut up and do it.
Yeah.
There you go. We have some super chats that I need to catch up with before we wrap up the show. I'm just trying to remember where the hell I was before. I think it was here. First of all, Rio used a 1 month, member chat to say this whole idiocy started because of the vid. Yep. It's kind of ridiculous that is something so small just literally ignites fucking insanity. It's probably not even meant to get serious answers.
No, it's just you see this all the time.
Just is what the thing was basically.
Yeah, posting a question and trying to get feedback in order to expand one's perspectives. It's a great way of learning, especially for the person trying to ask these questions.
Though I'd also argue that it's meant as a tongue-in-cheek reference to the fact that the leftists like to imply and sometimes outwardly state that we are, despite my being married and a father and stuff like that, somehow incels sitting in our parents' basements, unable to get laid, and the reason that we want this kind of content in our video games is so that we can whip it out and jerk off to a video game. Listen, loves, whoever says that, you do know that porn exists, right?
Pornhub, more ubiquitous than clean water.
Yeah, exactly.
Just saying.
I think was it like Dr. Cox or something in Scrubs said there's so much porn on the internet, if they removed it, there'd only be one website left and it would be called bringbacktheporn.com or something along those lines. I love that show. But anyway, there you go. So yeah, it is ridiculous how something this small and innocuous and possibly even tongue-in-cheek can start just a massive inferno like this. But it did. Hopefully we can use this to galvanize ourselves and make Gamergate better and isolate exactly what it is that we are trying to accomplish, which is for common sense. If you then want to have a subset of that for religion, go ahead.
Gamergate 3.
Don't get in our way, just don't get in our way.
I think the artist just needs to have the power given back to them, and then we make the choice about whether we support it. That's it.
Artistic
pretty
integrity
much.
of all.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
The Raging D-Head, interesting name, for $2 says, this goes back to the Clinton deplorables comment, and I am inclined to agree. Yeah. That was, of course, the moment that a lot of people cite that as the moment that it became impossible for her to win that election. Because it's just the same as like Biden calling everybody garbage right before the recent one. Every time one of these people comes out and insults half of the group that they are trying to impress, it's not going to work. I mean, there's a reason that heel wrestlers can do so many things to get cheap heat.
Right.
Like walking out into Boston and saying the Red Sox suck or something like that. There are ways to put people's backs up, and preaching to them is definitely one of them. People don't like it. Or calling them lesser thans. Thank you for that, Raging D-Head. Oh, hang on. There we go. Mephisto X for £2 says Skyrim bikini armor, say no more. Yeah, that was a thing, wasn't it? I believe. Yeah, you had
totally
these Norse-esque women running around wearing battle bikinis. Battle bikinis were a thing. Though I doubt they were in snowy climates, but yeah, there was a thing. I mean, I saw Stuttering Craig talking about a lot of the characters from video game history that this applies to, like Chun-Li or Cammy from Street Fighter, who's wearing a thong in 1993 or 4 or whenever Super Street Fighter came out with the new characters. Anyway, there it is. Yeah, this stuff has always been around. Minor titillation can be
even in the Bible.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's the Book of Solomon. Yeah.
Anyway, Mephisto X appears to then go completely crazy and gives another £10. Says perhaps Dread Roberts needs to be asked, what exactly did you intend with this tweet? He has released videos depending Stellar Blade, and now suddenly, yes, there's another point right there. I don't understand why. I guess he was disingenuous.
No, I think he was disenfranchised. I don't think what he's saying is a disingenuous statement. I genuinely believe, because he's recently stopped making videos, he's recently stopped making shows, he was really resonating with people. He was a rising star.
Making new content all the time on the FFS Discord, and then
and
it just became a dearth
I've seen some of his stuff. It's good.
And he got disillusioned. I don't know how he got disillusioned. Maybe because of behind the scenes bullshit, that sort of thing, and he saw that and he just vented out. But yeah, straw that broke the camel's back. That's why it's so important, folks. And more people should be doing this. We should be analyzing creators, their journeys, their perspectives, because stuff like this can really destroy movements. I've seen it as an active viewer.
Right now, isn't it? That's what you specialize in.
Well, that's what I try to specialize in. But usually when shit like this goes down, I shut up. Because I don't want to get blown up.
Athe is the Paul Heyman of YouTubers. There you go. Sorry, I've been making so many wrestling references lately. I'm gonna have to start making content.
I'm gonna have to wait. My hair isn't gone far back enough yet.
I'm gonna wait until I've read all of this and totaled up, and then I'll play something from Mephisto X. Because it followed with another £10. Fuck my life. That's real money. Says, I'm a man. I am a hetero white man. As a gamer 40+ years, I love TNA. Presumably tits and ass there, not total non-stop action. I love skimpy fantasy sci-fi battle armor. Bring it for the references. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's cool. Says to the woke left or religious right, I do not bend the knee. And this is my stance, absolutely as well. With the only exception being 35+ years old instead of 40. I haven't quite got to that age yet. So there's that. But thank you very much. And since I'm still on the run of Mephisto X contributions, he then gifted 5 Will of the Fans memberships as well. which I don't really have anything to say about that besides thank you. Oh yes, we have a Triforce in the chat, don't we? Of course, I forgot about that emoji. Anyway, let's crack on again and try and get these things done in the right order. Eris Rhoda gifted 5 Will of the Fans memberships as well. Thank you very much. Have I got enough Zelda shit going on today? Anyway,
if you were any more inundated, you'd be coming to us direct from Hyrule.
Pretty much, yeah. I probably would like that, actually. But there you go. Then Gal Pal Val, using the 1 month member chat, says, appreciate your takes, guys. You get me revved up. Thank you. Thank you. That is good to know. That is, I guess, the intention, I suppose.
We're resonating.
Revved up. Yeah, resonating. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's helpful. Revved up can mean a lot of things. And TJAP Steve for $10 says keeping our own in check is even more important when they cross a line. If we give them a pass because they have right think and or on our side, we're repeating the mistakes of the other side. That is a very unsung and very correct statement. Well done. I appreciate it. I mean, that actually is, yeah, because
it sums it up quite well.
Nepotism is something else that we're fighting as well, and people will be nepotistic to people they perceive to already prescribe to the same fucking belief system as them. It's human nature. All of this is human nature.
That's how showing care and kindness to the lesbian and gay community became this LGBTQ plus insanity. You know?
Yep. I mean, it also happened to coincide with an awful lot of religious corruption getting exposed, and also just the general cultural shift to being annoyed with constantly being preached at.
Right.
All these things gave the degenerates a leg up, and they absolutely capitalized on it. And now here we are, seeing it going too far. One way or the other. We go too far one way, we get Drag Queen Story Hour. Too far the other way, we get the Dark Ages. Let's just
Women
how about we just try to
like
find the Renaissance again? That was a nice period, a bit of creativity here.
I think the Dark Ages would mean something a bit different in this day and age.
Fuck my life. Spears in the chat. There you go. Anyway, that'll do then. I think we're up to date. Yes, we are. And thank you, everybody, for your contributions. Appreciate you. We'll get to our outros.
Are you turning into DSP?
No. I mean, I've never been caught jerking off on camera, so not yet, anyway.
Oh
well. Okay. Infinite Retro, would you like to give us your outro, mate?
Oh shit. Okay, yeah. So well, first I'm going to pimp out something. Actually, I'm going to pimp out something. So me and John have been talking, right? And yeah, possibly. Maybe on camera.
Had that effect on people.
Yeah.
All debauchery in here, man.
Shut up, you porn hound. Anyway, so on my
I'll have you know,
I'm using that term as well. Porn hound.
So
I'm on NoFap. I like to preserve my testosterone. I'm on NoFap. Anyway.
NoFap, yeah. So I haven't posted too much. I'm still posting regularly in the fighting game channel, Fight All Thy Enemies. But me and John have been talking because I've got a religious / conspiracy based channel. It's very small.
Cool.
But me and John talked a lot, and we've got it's just really great conversations. And I said, why don't we just start running some shows over there? And it's just called my name, Ben. That's all it's called. And hopefully, you know, it'll do well. You know, I love talking about conspiracy stuff and religion, so it kind of goes hand in hand for me. But yeah, so I'm pretty excited for that. Yeah.
Let's get controversial.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, good. Well, keep us posted on that.
Throw the spear.
Throw a spear in the chat. You know you want to. There's nothing wrong with it. It's all good.
Chuck them if you got them.
Chuck them if you got them. John?
Today was normally going to be my day off, but we did our pickup stream. So I think from here on out, I'm probably just going to be doing some more production type work and whatnot. And then we'll be back here again tomorrow. And I'm on YouTube so often that I can keep you up to date on anything pressing or, you know, current once we get to tomorrow's end of the day. So, yeah, other than that, I just say, as I always do, be awesome. Oh, safe travels ahead. Have a wonderful week going forward and be awesome as always.
Super. Lovely. Thank you. Brian?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching the 67th episode of WTF Live. It's great that Infinite and John are going to work together with their Ben Durr project. Hopefully that'll do very well. You've got Ben here and you've got the Durr right there. My goodness. Hey, John, why didn't you tell that fiber optic installer to get that fucking owl off your roof?
Because they were doing work on the ground level.
Fucking hell. I can hear it. It's the subtlety of the thing that's the
I bet
problem.
you hear it in your sleep at this point, too.
Invite it in. Show it to us. It would be great. But in all seriousness, hey, it worked.
It might lead to me monetization. People be like, look at this guy. He's got the owl.
But as for me, folks, you can check me out over at Ryan Roger Athe. I am the host and founder of Reality Based. Expect quite a few videos for today, at least 4. I've recently released one 6 minutes ago, and hopefully we'll have a great talk tomorrow about topics of the day on Will's channel. And if you haven't already, folks, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Get Will of the Fans to 10,000 subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please do subscribe to my channel. I am 53 away from 10,000 subscribers, and I would love to see that happen before the end of the year.
Let's get him over the line, boys.
I mean, I've worked my ass off this year, so I do feel like I kind of deserve it. But you know, that's just me. Somebody else may disagree, but
you've been fruitful
whatever.
Anyways.
I appreciate. It's been a crazy fucking year for me, man. I got married, became a father, and saw some new levels of success on this channel. It's a great year. Good year.
Mm.
I have videos. I was actually able to produce 3 videos today. Yay! One of them came out 40 minutes ago, and there's another one out in 4 hours time. I'll be making more videos, and of course we have the other episode of this very show happening tomorrow at the same time, because we are a day late with this one, thanks to StreamYard and all the fuckery that went on there. Appreciate everybody's patience regarding all of that stuff, of course, as well. And on Sunday, WTF Live as well. Same as always. If you know what we do here, it's not changing this week, hopefully, anymore. That already has. So there you go. Yeah, and do subscribe, of course, to get me over that line as well. But there you go. Hope you guys have had fun with it. Thanks once again to Eris Rhoda, TJP Steve, Rio, Raging D-Head, Mephisto X, Gal Pal Val, and TJP Steve again there. And I will be back tomorrow with all of these guys. Till then, nothing to do but wave to the camera like a invalid, apparently. And say see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Morality, and now we're facing me as mortality.